On the Brooklyn Bridge tonight, voices strong, knowledge tight, thoroughbred talk in the air, changing minds, changing flair. From Brother Tad to Sister Kate, warriors got things to say. Sister Marcia brings the heat, Brother Blacksmith keeps the beat. Revolutionary waves they fly underneath the open sky. Every word's a call to fight. Tune in, feel the ancestral line. Thursday nights, the world will see Black Power Media on the screen. Facebook, YouTube, all aligned, breaking free from every bind. Social talk and politics, every voice breaks through the matrix. Commentary raw and true, for the many, not the few. Revolutionary waves they fly underneath the open sky. Every word's a call to fight. Tune in, feel the ancestral line. Ancestral line.
That new Malona James joint yet?
Girl, N.O. Stop playing at me. Mike Larry did it again with his sexy ass. I might bite him play that shit.
Oh shit, Mike. You done did it now. Let's get this straight, bitch. There's a difference between coming here and being out here. Know the difference? Immigrant chose America. We never got that choice. America chose us without a vote, without a voice. You came through Ellis Island, you came through auction blocks. You stepped through gates, we were chained to docks. You boarded ships with plans in hand. We were taking stolen porcelain. Don't rewrite, don't rename it, don't confuse how we got here. We didn't migrate, we were trafficked. We didn't volunteer, we were captured. We didn't cross borders seeking sight. We survived the system built us by. We are foundational, we are foundational. We are foundational, not immigrants, not gays. We are foundational, not immigrants, not gays. We are foundational, not immigrants, not gays. We are the soil and the story, the heartbeat in the chest. We don't borrow culture, we are the culture that stays. This is an adoption, we built this land. We are the culture that stays. This is an adoption, we built. They say go back home, what? But we never left. What? We been here what? Since before the theft, before the before the trade, before the map. Yeah. These borders made go. We are indigenous. We were right here. Don't get that wrong. We were here, and here we stay, and here we belong. They say we lazy while we built every road they drive, every law they cite, every freedom they claim is right. We didn't immigrate to lose our tongue. We didn't immigrate to be hung. We didn't immigrate to get renamed, recategorized, dehumanized, erased, enslaved. We didn't proceed for opportunity. Opportunity was stolen. And yet, we made something holy. Our foundational, not immigrants, broke the chains, you walking out. That's not ego, that's not hate. That's the truth they try to separate. That's the truth they try to separate. That's the truth they try to separate. Yeah. Know the difference. Respect the line. Don't rewrite what's ours. Don't blur the design. Immigration is not our origin. We are not a branch. We are the root. And every right that brought you here came through us. And foundational, unshaken, ungrafted, unbroken, still here.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, family. Welcome to another edition of Thorough Black Talk with your sister K Fighter, Brother Tad, Sister Marcia, Brother Blacksmith. Tonight, family, we got a full panel. You better get ready. Tell somebody to tell somebody it's going down. Our usual suspects, Sister Brooke, Brother Divine, will be on the check-in along with our brother Daniel. If you on X, if you on TikTok, you better know who Daniel is, but you will tonight, because it's about to get heavy. Also, we got our sister Pat, Brother Leonard. I'm telling you, we shutting it all down tonight. So while our guests get ready behind the scenes, let me see, Brother Black, are you ready? I don't know if he is. Let me get Brother Tad up on the Brooklyn Bridge. What's happening? OG Wisdom Podcast. What's happening?
What up, sis? What up, sis? I'm glad we got a full panel tonight. I'm glad we got our brother Divine back. I'm glad we got our sister Brooke back in the house, and it's definitely going to be a pleasure to have Sister Pat and Brother Leonard. I'm not familiar with Brother Daniel, but I'm looking forward to meeting him. So I know it's going to be fire tonight.
Oh yeah. You'll enjoy our brother. You know, he be hosting some fire spaces on TikTok and on X, and I'm not gonna say no. I'm gonna let him come and do his thing. We're gonna bring them in about 10-15 minutes. Brother Black, are you ready? Let's get the BX up on the Brooklyn Bridge. Brother Blacksmith, what's happening?
Hey y'all, who coming live and through on the bridge. Now, you know what?
What up, Brother Black?
I'm not even claiming the Bronx or Brooklyn tonight. I'm on Roosevelt Island. I'm neutral.
Dun, dun, dun. I had to change the background.
Y'all don't even know where Roosevelt Island is. See that?
That's where Grandpa used to live. From
I had to change the background. I'm coming from the White House tonight. I'm coming straight from the White House tonight. It's the takeover.
Keep the White House black.
There it is. What you got for us tonight, Brother Black?
You who made that album, right?
George Clinton.
President George Clinton. Get it right.
There's a documentary about him on Tubi. I think you need to check that out.
Check that.
Yeah, check that out.
Definitely check that out. Because I know a lot of people who know him. I remember I lived in Florida too, so you know, and they're from Tallahassee. But anyway, you know, we living in some very interesting times right now. As you can see, and I've said this before, and you've even said it for me, Sister Keisha, previous times. Whether you like President Trump or not, hold on one second. Close this door. Whether you like President Trump or not, whether you deal with politics or not, or what have you, we can now see that he's doing the delineating for us. Well, for y'all in particular. I'm being facetious when I say some of these words, so pardon me if I use the wrong wording, but my heart is pure when I say these things. He's doing it with Venezuela. He's trying to go in there and get Maduro. I don't know if that's real or not, but it doesn't really matter. The crux of the situation is he's trying to get everybody out of here who don't belong, so that we can finally take this over. I've been telling y'all for years now. I believe, I can't prove it to y'all, but I believe that he's been given that duty by the Galactic Federation through the U.S. generals that came to him when they knew that the so-called moves, the J words, so that we don't get,
Flag.
censored, or flagged, or whatever, wanted to kill 90% of the world's population and enslave the rest, and they would have like 8,000 slaves each. I'm sure y'all heard of this. This ain't nothing new about that. That's been going on since Rex 84 and all those other movies.
Rex 84, King Alfred Plan, yeah.
Pretty much. So with that said, this is where we at right now, and part of FBA ADOS getting reparations would have to be a lot of these niggas who don't consider themselves like us. K. Dot, thank you. Gotta go. They have to go, especially the ones built in the government. He said, I'm using his words, 88% of them is on welfare and built in the system in the tune of billions. And as they don't really have a government, how do you vet these people? So even if they righteous, we don't know really who they are. They could be anybody. We already know that Ilhan Omar married her brother to get into the country. So she gotta go. That alone right there is a violation. Straight up violation. Okay, now let me move off of that, because I'm sure you're gonna more than cover what I just said a minute ago. We got these, I'm sure y'all checking on the solar flares. And the M and X's is coming out. In the previous, I'd say 3 to 5 years, most of them were C classes. Now the M's and the X's is coming in hard body. And the X flares are the strongest ones. And like I told y'all before, I explained this on this show maybe about 2 years ago. You also have an effect where you got C, M, and X's coming in between each other, and what they do is form a cannibal, and they hit the earth at one time. So you can have 3 flares coming in at the same time, and all of the energy is done. So if it's a 1, a 3, and a 5, it combines into an 8 or 9, excuse me. And we're gonna be getting bombarded by those. And then we got the 3 days when the sun disappears and comes back, the symbolic meaning of what Christmas is, and so on and so forth. So we got a lot of stuff going on in the world. Forget about the country. Everywhere. There's a lot of earthquakes. There was a 7.5 in Japan a few days ago. California's rumbling. They had big rainstorms a few days ago. Y'all got a whole bunch of rainstorms in the summer and one in the early fall. So it's crazy everywhere.
Black, could you send some of those solar flares to Brooklyn? Because it's cold out here, man. You need to warm up.
Solar flares have nothing. That don't have nothing to do with the weather, brother. It's the energy of the sun and how hot the sun is. So it could be zero.
Some of that heat.
Man, just hold up the signal, man. Don't talk. Yeah, but we got a lot going on. So I mean, we just got to keep our head on the swivel, know what's coming, keep your heart and your mind righteous, wear your heart on a feather like my eye, and just keep going. I mean, we doing the right things. We know we are. If you come back here every week to the bridge and you feeling us, then you definitely know you're doing the right thing, because we're going to lead y'all to the right place. We were led by some of the greatest people. Just because Alton Maddox doesn't have the stature of a Malcolm X or Martin Luther King doesn't mean his measurement in greatness can be measured worldwide amongst any Pan-African. That's what he passed away as. Or, FBA ADOS, which he was. So, we can all lay claim to him and say, we studied under some of the greatest ever. And if it wasn't him, you don't want to give him his props and his kudos. All the people he brought into the UAM. Yeah.
He brought in the greatest minds.
If you
and
into what
respected him.
Yes, sir. Represent.
That's why they showed up. That's why they all showed up. In fact, wasn't it the UAM where Khalid and Steve Coakley squashed their issues?
I wasn't there, so I can't say that. Sister Keisha, you would know better.
Facts.
That's
okay.
Yeah, because Steve Coakley and Dr. Khalid had a disagreement. And it wasn't big in public like that, but if you knew, you knew. And I believe it was the UAM where they squashed it too.
All right. So, he has as much emphasis as a Farrakhan or somebody who's still living before he passed away, that is. You know what I'm saying? And it was a beautiful thing because it was open to the open to us. It was open, and anybody could come there and represent whatever they was representing as long as it was beneficial to the black writ politic. So, definitely, tune into these shows. We give y'all references to what we talking about. We don't just be spewing stuff for y'all to just say, okay, they just be talking. No, we doing stuff. You know what I'm saying? On the street. I wish I was in NY, but I'm not there now. I will be back there soon. And definitely when I come back, I'm going to definitely look y'all up and we're going to break bread and have a good time. So
no doubt. So Black, before we let you go, when do your mothership land back on planet Earth? Because I know you're the ambassador to the Galactic Confederation and
Galactic Federation.
I'm sorry? Federation?
Yeah. Oh, you with the Southern Galactics, huh?
Yeah, something like that.
Confederate. Hey, Sister Keisha. Tad done labeled himself a Fed. Hey,
just like everybody else. That's the catchword now. Everybody a Fed now. I remember early in my studies when what the name was? Eldridge Cleaver was calling Stokely Carmichael a Fed. And then I realized in the 90s, I came into the movement, like got out of just studying and started being amongst the activists because there's levels to this thing. You know what I'm saying? Some people just read the books. Some people just get active. But some people, like us, we study and we get active. So amongst my studies, I started listening to people just start throwing that word around. So fast forward to 2000, everybody's a Fed. Oh, he's a Fed. She's a Fed. If you got a job, you a Fed. And like, man, shut up.
Yeah, when I was in Ghana, they labeled me a spy because I used to work for the federal government. I was a merchant seaman. That was a federal position. You know what I'm saying? I was still on my day though. I was read. That's where I did a lot of my reading at because when you ain't working, you in your room. I wasn't really trying to mix with too many people. You know what I'm saying? So I'm reading most of the time or in my room watching, at that time it was still about DVDs and stuff like that. So I had a lot of that stuff too. Some from the UAM, some from various, activists and people talking out there,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I want to act so Brother Leonard, because I like to laugh and I laugh at serious topics. But a lot of people are being labeled as a Fed. And I do know what I'm talking about. Just as I knew about the disagreement between Dr. Khaled and Steve Coakley, and a lot of people didn't know because I was a fly on the wall. I sat there and I was quiet. So when I talk about people calling people Feds, like if you don't agree with somebody, they call you a Fed. I don't know if you been in the loop right now. I don't know if it's an age gap, but that's everybody buzzword right now. If you don't agree, you're a Fed. They said FBA is FBI. They call FBA Feds. So yeah, I think I know what I'm talking about just a little bit. I could be wrong, but I doubt that I am. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Leonard, check your messages too. Awesome. Let's get our sister Marcia, Africans on the Rise, up on the Brooklyn Bridge. Sister Marcia, what's happening?
Peace, family. Happy Blacktastic Thursday. It's cold outside.
Telling Brother Black send them solar flares this way. Keep playing.
I don't think those flares are bringing down warm weather. And if Black has anything to do with it, you talk to your federation and tell them to bring us some heat because it's working out.
He's sweating up in the Bronx right now, so
Brother Leonard crazy.
He better check his messages.
You're right, Brother Leonard. You're right. I don't know about them Anunnakis and I don't even know what planet Brother Black is on right now.
Hey, I'm disappointed. Sister Vanessa don't even call me that no more.
He on the Soul Sonic Force. Y'all better leave him alone and stop playing. Don't mess with the Soul Sonic Force.
Take that.
It's Bronx.
Look, the Soul Sonic.
That's my brother.
Black, you dancing with Africa Bambaataa in the Bronx too?
Take that. In the 80s. After 95, I was done with it.
we gonna leave that alone. We gonna leave that alone.
Notice
Because
I
I
ain't
see
saying
our
that.
guests
Wait,
ready.
hold on. What about this appointment that Mandani did with my son? Y'all not talking about that? What's going on?
Trash. Trash. I
Yeah,
said
ain't
what
no
I
deep
said.
into that.
It's trash. And let me tell you something. A lot of y'all who be out there hoorahing for all these folks, you're not hoorahing for change. You hoorah for people to get a bag. People to get a job, get a bag. Him, you got in Texas, Jasmine Cockeye Crockett is running for Senate. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy right now. And you got people championing this foolishness. You know what I mean? So we'll deal with that another time. Because we got a full plate tonight. For real, for real.
Hey,
I'm excited for our guest tonight.
Oh, yeah, it's up.
I'm gonna play to give everybody else a little more light. I'm gonna play the back. If you need me, just holler. I'm gonna be in the background though.
All right.
Okay.
All right. You want me to pull you down? I'll pull you down. It's up and it's stuck tonight, for real, for real. But let me give some shout outs real quick because I didn't do that. Big Russ, TVT Mod in the building. What's happening, fam? How are you? How are you? We'll chop it up tomorrow for sure. Sister Joyce, Brother Monty, Suffolk County in the building. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? We got our sister Farnetta, Alabama on the check-in. What's happening? What's happening? Sister Tanisha, what it be like? What it be like? What it be like? It's heavy tonight. Uncle Jess, Aunt Marie, up on the check-in. What's happening? Brownsville Finest in the building. Let's get it. Prospective 24. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? I saw my sis BX the Gatekeeper up in here. And please follow her channel because she goes in heavy. Trust me when I tell you, if you on TikTok, you on X, you don't want no smoke with BX. I'm going to tell you that right now. She giving the Bronx some love, Brother Black. So you should be happy about that. That's my sister, BX. Her YouTube channel is BX Network. And she has some great interviews in there that you might want to check out. Especially those who don't know what's happening. We don't got time to rehash a whole lot of stuff for y'all. At least I don't. You know what I mean, brothers and all? Hope you can join us soon. But our brother Terrell, what's happening? How you been, family? How you been? How you been? LEE44, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? FBA family up on the check-in. So, Sister Pat, are you ready? All right. UAM Finest up on the Brooklyn Bridge. What's happening, Sister Pat? We about to go in. Because, see, I be saying stuff. Y'all think I be playing. So, I got the backup team tonight. Because I'm tired of the BS that's going on. So, we coming with heavy hitters tonight. Like I said, we got Brother Daniel, Sister Brooke, Brother Divine, Sister Pat. We are not playing no more games because it's too serious out here right now. Like Tad, Tad was joking about it a little earlier, but you got people calling us feds and ops and all kinds of stuff. And it's reckless and it's ridiculous. All because of a lineage that we are. It's just ridiculous. Whether you call it freemen, FBA, Black American, whatever you want to call it. We are our own lineage, and that's shook up the world. Because I don't know if you know, Brother Tad, Sister Marcia, that the Asian community is now delineating. We talked about the white tea folks last week, but now they delineating. So all you, carpet flyers and all of that, they pulling y'all out. They say you ain't a part of them. So I don't know what's happening. We'll get into all of that later. So let's get our Sister Pat up on the Brooklyn Bridge. Sister Pat, what's happening?
Hotel. How's
Hotep, sis.
blessings to the viewers and the panel? Hotel. Thank y'all for inviting me back. Hopefully I can expound on something that your viewers would find interesting.
Yes. Because the reason why I had to reach out to Sister Pat, because some of the things we talked about last week, And I say, a lot of these organizations are ops. They ops.
That's true.
And Saturday evening, shout out to Dr. Filet, but I was listening to her program and I heard some commentary that really pissed me off. The person who was giving the commentary, not going to say his name right now, but I will. He was saying a whole bunch of nothing. And then he ended up saying, we got to give money to organizations like D12. You see Sister Pat laughing?
I am.
So, and Sister Pat put in the chat, a lot of these folks are, agent provocateurs. Sorry about that. And they are. So, Sister Pat, if you can, expound upon that, because we're not just pulling this out our ass. You know what I mean? We had great insight, who I consider, in our time anyway, one of the greatest legal minds there ever was. And so, he educated us on a whole lot of things. If you can expound, Sister Pat, on what you meant, last week when you said agent provocateurs. Sister BX, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll send you some information a little later. Go ahead, Sister Pat.
Okay, I didn't know you was gonna open up with that. I would have had my stuff in order. But let me just do the best I can with what I have here. That information that I wrote last week when it came up, I'm only using what was said by the chairman, Alton Maddox. And I remember him making a statement about something about 100 Black men. If I had 100 Black men, let me just put it in the right perspective. I believe Dr. John Henry Clark wanted to put a petition together to keep the Schomburg Black. And he asked Maddox to do some legal work for him. And it came out with Brother Maddox making a statement that if I could get 100 Black men, and I think the guy named Preston Walcott, if I'm not mistaken, said, Brother Maddox, we ain't got no 100 Black men in New York. I'm using this the best I can. A lot of this stuff, y'all bear with a sister. This stuff is like 30, 40. It's a long time ago. So saying that to put things in perspective, what came out of that, because Alton Maddox is not native to New York. Let me just say that. He's not native to New York. When he left Georgia, he went to Boston and then found his way here in New York. So he didn't really have the political astuteness about the politics in New York when it comes down to the Black elite and the powers to be. But he got him a lesson. And the lesson was when he was brought into Morgenthau's office. And Morgenthau basically came after.
Wait. Just for clarification, the Morgenthau you're talking about is the former New York District Attorney for the state of New York, right?
Yes. Correct. He came into his office. Brother Maddox had wind up being noticed by him due to his own activists and his legal battles. And basically he was summoned to his office, according to Alton. That's how he puts it. He basically said he was summoned into Robert Morgenthau. And let me just, I did find something here. Whereas I think Charles Rangel, Basil Patterson, they all came as well. And basically, because he was not of their group, Morgenthau basically wanted to say, well, is this guy with y'all? And they said no, because he's running amok. What do I mean by running amok? He's going outside of the parameters of being handled by the upper echelon. I say that. So I just wanted to put some things in proper perspective. Alton, didn't really realize that, hey, that's how it works up here. Yeah, that's how it works up here. There was a slogan of the four, like I said, the Gang of Four. The Gang of Four is what they called them. You know, they was known as in the Harlem community, the black political power structure. And yeah, the guy name was Preston Welcott. That part is right. I did find it. And I say all of that to put things in perspective. So he gets summoned to Morgenthal's office around this Schomburg thing to keep the Schomburg black. And out of that comes a long thing. Alton now gets put on a hit list, basically, because he's not working with the power brokers of the New York City. Okay, they're going to keep an eye on him. And that was the beginning of them keeping an eye on him. When it comes down to some of these other groups, when we started the political party of the United African Party, and then we went on to the Freedom Party, a lot of people were called in to be a part of it, but there were some holdouts. You want the names?
This is the Brooklyn
I'm
Bridge.
reading it. I'm reading it from the list. I'm just reading it as it is. And on the holdout at the time was Herbert Daughtry, who was the minister of some church on Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn. Charles Barron was one of the holdouts. These people were not part of it. They didn't want to come together and be part of this. And it just to show you subsequently later, they would also be part of undermining it. So I just wanted to start with that.
You know what? We gonna hold that?
Okay.
Because I want y'all to digest what she just said. Go ahead, Tad. You got to come off mute, Tad.
Yeah, I want to say, Sister Pat, you are shattering a lot of people's dreams right now.
Sorry.
You, like the name you say, you know, because I'm going to be honest with you. Shout out to Reverend Daughtry. His church is House of the Lord over there on Atlantic Avenue.
Right. There we go.
Charles Barron, who I had the pleasure of meeting and riding around East New York with. But as time went on, like I said earlier, you know, I sat amongst all of these people, sat and had conversations and everything. And when you're coming into the knowledge and you're learning and you know, there's levels to this. As we talked about earlier, there's levels to this. And to find out that some people may have been, I don't want to say conspirators, but to know that they had a hand in certain things that didn't very fare well in the best interest of the community is disheartening. Shout out to our brother Ray Ray in the chat. Me and Ray Ray had a conversation the other morning, based on what you shared with us, Sister Keisha, about the show, and which you'll let folks know later. Because
did he confirm what I said?
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
No,
I'm not pulling this stuff out my booty.
And then he added some extra layers to it too. I was just like, wow, what's really happening within the community? So when folks like us, and I'm gonna pass the mic back, when we divest from the Pan-African mindset and ideology, knowing we all started there, you know, I think a lot of people don't know what deals are being made in the back rooms and strange bedfellows that's going on, who people are getting paid by and who they're advocating to be paid outside of the community. We say we work for the people, but the people aren't benefiting from deals that's being made.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Let me get my brother Daniel, Sister Brooke, and Brother Devon up on here because I know we don't got much time with Brother Daniel. So I want to bring him up. But Sister Aruba 927, Doggy Diamond TV Mods. Shout out to Doggy Diamond TV. Says, I'm loving this conversation already. Sister Pat blowing spots all the way up. Because I wanted confirmation, because I don't want people to think that I'm just saying stuff. And, you know, we were all witness to certain things. All right. So before I get deeper into it, let me get my brother Daniel up on the Brooklyn Bridge. Like I said, if you on X, if you on TikTok, you should know exactly who he is. Welcome to the Brooklyn Bridge, Brother Daniel. How are you?
Hey, how's it going? How y'all doing? Can you hear me?
Peace, peace. Yes, sir.
We
Yeah, I'm
got
sorry.
you loud and clear. We got you loud and clear, brother.
Yeah, of all the time my headphones broke on me, they won't even catch a charge. So I apologize for my sound.
Well,
How
we
y'all
can hear
doing?
you clearly, though.
Appreciate that, brother. Now I was listening to the sister cook, man. That was I think the brother just said something that I've been telling people. We don't know why these people are going so hard to hold on to something everybody's pushing against, especially when you see it doesn't benefit us. And the only logical conclusion you can draw from that is they have a vested interest in it. And a lot of the times when they do, it's normally for self and not everybody else.
That's right.
Because you can't sit here and tell me that. I know they were talking about it earlier about some of the people running for office. And I'm looking at it, and you think about Ilhan Omar, who is a Somalian national. The Somalian head of state, came to America and told her and her people to undermine foundation of Black Americans. ADOS, or whatever niggas is calling themselves these days. I don't want to step on nobody's toes. But you have to think about it. That is a foreign attack on our sovereign. Like it doesn't make sense for us to keep supporting this, and when there's nothing. Like they have always seen us as some people they can take from because we've been so willing to give. As a matter of fact, in 1965, when we got civil rights, one of the first things we did was went to the government and said, "Your policies on immigration are very prejudiced. We need to fix that." And instead of them coming in and joining us, they started undermining us. So it's been an issue for a very long time. And I know they're throwing out the agent word, like he said, but most of these people don't even know what the agent looks like. It's not the person you suspect. It's that one person that moves really, that barely say anything. Like he said, like sometimes it's a fly on the wall. And some of these people, unbeknownst to them, are unaware agents. You think you think they just keep liking your posts? You don't know who any of these people is. And every time you post something, they just blow up. You just think that's the case? The funniest thing you can see, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling or not, but that guy, Nick Fuentes, I'm not sure if y'all familiar with him. That is the most fed guy I've ever seen in my life. And he is a unwitting fed. He really thinks he's that smart. And it's like, no, they're pumping you up to push a message out. And the most dangerous fed is the person who believes in the nonsense they're spewing. So when they believe, see, and that's why some of these people are really dangerous. Like the ones smart enough to understand that this ideology doesn't benefit us and they still pushing it, that's super dangerous. Like, why do you keep wanting us to keep going with this? So yeah, no, I do think the Fed word is used way too loosely. You know, like the brother said, just because a person works for the federal government don't mean they're Fed. We're supposed to get in the system. We're supposed to see how it works. You know, once you see how it works, you can fight it a little better. That's what our brother Dr. Clark Anderson did. He worked in the system for most of his life, and he was able to come out and tell us exactly how to establish a power base to fight that system. So I listen to these people, and most of them, they just on Twitter. They just on TikTok. They're not actually doing any work in the real world. I'm sorry, I ran over, but how y'all doing, man? I apologize.
No, we good, and you good.
Good, brother. Don't worry about it.
You good.
You good. Don't worry about it. Brother Devon, are you ready? The U.S. Freedmen Project president up on the Brooklyn Bridge. It's heavy tonight. Let's give it up for our brother Devon. What's happening?
Man, what's good? What's good? Well, good evening, the Brooklyn Bridge family. Brother Dan, the living legend. What's going on, man? It's great to see you.
How's it going, man? Shout out to you and Utica, man. That was a good job y'all did up there. Good work.
Oh man, that was definitely made in part by viewers like you, as I like to say, from Channel 13, but was 13 here in New York, PBS. Man, shout out to y'all for helping to fundraise for us to help us get up there and to get back. Man, that was some powerful stuff. So when people in that room were saying it, and people online that ain't doing the work say it, when they say we need more unity or we can't come together, I love that in real time we're shattering all those myths. With us coming together as family, centering our lineage, centering our ethnic group. And I wanted to say two things before I bring up the sister. I don't want to ramble either. But to what Brother Tad was saying, and what you kind of touched on, Brother Dan, with people, with people not understanding what's going on. And I don't know who came up with it because I didn't, but it's a saying, and I'm paraphrasing it. It's like you'll never get somebody to understand something that their salary is paying them to misunderstand purposely. And so what we're finding is that these people, they already, everything that we're talking about, a 5-year-old can understand it, because I was poking the 5-year-olds about our lineage and they get it.
Right.
And so these are people that purposely and purposefully misunderstanding it and acting confused and playing dumb. And the next thing I'll say, kind of to what both of you was talking about, especially with the feds and agents, I say this all the time. There's two types of agents. There's agents of the state, and then there's agents of the state of their own mind, or agents of their mind state. And what we're finding is that when you are an agent of the state of your own mind, they don't have to pay you because you think that you're doing the right thing. You are fully indoctrinated. And you guys know I love speaking movie needs. And one of my favorite movies of all time is The Matrix. And I'll never forget that scene where he's training Neo, and he's telling him, it doesn't matter, paraphrasing, it doesn't matter whether this person was your friend, family member, or foe. If they're plugged into the system, they will fight to protect it. And even when they don't, the agents can move in and out of their body, or quote unquote consciousness, because they're plugged in and sold out. And so that's what we're seeing with a lot of these people that are not fully paid agents. The agent within can use them willingly and unwillingly, because you're already totally indoctrinated to what they're trying to do. I'll land there.
Real quick, sis. I just want to say this to Brother Divine. In the audience,
Go ahead.
I apologize for my tangent last week.
Oh, please.
No, you know why? Because I look back, Brother Divine, and you were trying to interject, and I was just gone. And I said, damn, my Brother Divine was patiently waiting, raising his hand. So I want to apologize to you for that, and to the audience, because, I try to, of course, I'm always going to be authentic, but I try not to bring out the street element and, how we present, because I believe us as Black folks, foundational Black Americans, we present ourselves in a certain way, particularly with the morals and values our grandparents and parents have instilled on us on how we present publicly.
Right.
Sometimes people piss us off and they take us where we can go, Brother Divine. Our generation is from that.
Yes.
But nonetheless, like grandma and mommy say, when you go outside, you don't just represent yourself, you represent this house and you represent the community. So I just want to apologize for letting somebody rattle my cage a little bit. And that's all I want to say. Make that public apology to you, Brother Divine.
And then, like I said, in response, I will say, I understand there's a handful of people in the movement that seen me get outside of my body with somebody in the space that was on some Asian provocateur type stuff. And so I understand what you're saying, because there's people that know it, that was there and saw it. And somebody about to put hands on somebody, and they never let me forget it. Not in a bad way, but just they always bring that shit up. Like, I remember when it was like, all right. So I get it, what you're saying, but I want to also point out this is that everything happens in this divine order, right? Because my comment was going to be about what you were addressing and who you were addressing. So because you finished it out and finished it off and set that standard for how we was going to operate in that moment, it was able to take what I was going to say and allow me to hone in exactly where it needed to go. So again, everything happened in this divine order. So if I would have gotten in before you finished your bill, it wouldn't have happened the way it was supposed to happen. So
I'm laughing at Brother Leonard. No, and I agree with you, Brother Divine, because when it comes to my sister Keisha, right? When it comes to my sisters, period, but particularly Sister Keisha, we not going, Sister Keisha know how to defend herself, but I don't play about my sisters. Especially my sister Keisha. I'm not gonna play. We not gonna play with her. You're not allowed to play with her. Not in my presence. Not on my watch. And I know she's more than capable of handling herself, but it just irks me. You're not gonna play in my face with my sister. No, we not doing that.
And that was one of the issues that Brother Maddox had too, because he saw where I was going with certain things, and it really bothered him that he wouldn't be able to defend me legally. And that really bothered him. Sister Pat shaking her head, so she knows.
Yes, exactly. One of the things is when Alton was, as he would say, not disbarred but debarred. There's a difference. He realized that we didn't have the legal strength behind our organization to defend individuals. He was still able, pro se, to defend the organization, but not us individually. And it did become an issue with him, because when you send people out there, or if people go out there, you want to be able to have that authority or have that position, but he no longer had it. And so with that said, you kind of like, as individuals, you got to walk a certain line. That's the reason why I prefix what I said in my opening. This is not my statement. I'm reading all of this stuff from what he wrote. It had his signature on it because he was there when it happened. So even with viewers who are watching this show, I want you to be very clear. The statements that I stated was automatic statement, because he was the one he was in the room with the people when it happened, and he then informed us as an organization or people in the organization. So I just want to be very clear of what I'm reading. Everything I'm reading to that night is dealing with these issues are not new. If this whole thing comes about, people being agents and provocateurs and federal whatever, at the end of the day, no one should feel guilty about having a job with the state, the city, federal government. If you're one of those people, I've had a job with the state, federal government. So what?
Nah, they
I don't have a problem. Did you?
Right.
I hope your audience and your panel, y'all read the book, The Spook Who Sat by the Door. Guilty.
I think Brother Black put that in our private chat as well.
You know?
Yeah, that's what I was alluding to when I say you learn the system.
Let me get my sister Brooke up on the Brooklyn Bridge, and Brother Dan, you could go in right after I bring her up. Sister Brooke up on the Brooklyn Bridge, reparations activist. Let's get it poppin', sis. How are you?
Hi everybody. Hello Marcia. Hello Sister Pat. Hello Dan. Hello President Divine. Hello Brother Tad. And hello to my big sis Keisha. What's going on?
Hey, Sister Brooke. Brother Lenard crazy.
But Brother Dan, finish your thought, and we'll continue right after that.
Oh, I was just making a comment about what the sister said. She said she put her hand up, and I said that's what I was alluding to when I was saying that it's important that we learn the system so we can bring it, down and better fight it better. And I was using Dr. Claude Anderson as an example. But yeah, I read the book, saw the movie. It was a good thing. It's a good thing.
Because one of the things, Sister Pat, and then after you, we'll go to Brother Divine and Sister Brooke. But one of the things that we in this reparations fight, this disaggregation fight, is coming up against these same organizations. And when we were in Harlem, I let them know on the record that they were compromised. You have IBW 21 or whatever the hell it is, and then you have D12 and a couple of others, and Cobra, a couple of others. And so, as you said, Brother Manners gave us a clear blueprint about the information that he received about said folks. And, it seems, well, it is, it's not seems, they are still a problem. And so that's one of the reasons why, I say the things that I say. And, I had to bring you on because, I don't want to be, I don't want people to think that I'm just, like I said, pulling this out my behind.
No, you're not.
What are your thoughts on these groups that I mentioned, or these organizations that I mentioned?
Well, let me just say this for the record. I don't know who IBS is, so I
Ron Daniels.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's what that is.
Irritable bowel syndrome.
Okay. Oh, Ron Daniels. It's funny. Ron Daniels been around for a long time, and he hook his caboose to anybody's engine. he's got decades of that. That is whatever this decade is. That's what he rolled with. And as far as D12, D12 came into existence surrounding the Tawana Brawley rape and kidnapping case. But let me just say this, in relationship to some of the players over there, you know, once again, it's from a historical perspective, people get in where they find their way. Let me just say this, and once again, I'm just going to read a little clip, and I'll try to put it all together real quick for the listening audience. Once again, I just want to be clear. I'm reading this from Automatic's writing, and he said this in relationship to during the period Clayton Jones and brother William Augustus Jones.
Hold on, pause. Because Sister Brooke, do you hear what she said? You hear the two names she mentioned? Lewis Clayton Jones, William Augustus Jones. Now, when we were in Brooklyn, let me tell you, Sister Pat.
Okay.
Because you know the legacy of these two men, right, that you mentioned.
Right.
Well, William Augustus Jones' daughter ain't living up to the legacy.
You know what? Unfortunately, the fruit falls far away from the tree. Far away from the tree. So let me just say that. But in relation to what I'm prefixing here is, like I said, this is during the period when Clayton Jones had a love-hate relationship with Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton was like what they called as a young person, he had the gift of the gab for speaking and doing that preaching thing. And so William Augustus Jones kind of like stepfathered them, or whatever you want to call it, bringing him up in that area. Breadbasket, I think it was the name of it from the church.
Operation Breadbasket.
There you go. That's what it was. But one of the things is Clayton Jones this is what he said to Maddox. He said, I got mixed words for Reverend Sharpton. I got a love-hate for him. But as far as Reverend Herbert Daughtry and Charles Barron, he viewed those men as shady characters. And he was telling Alton, basically, you be careful hooking up with them guys. Once again, I explained to y'all, Alton was not native to New York. He was not native to New York. But Clayton was giving him a heads up, and as truth will come, as far as, like I said, Daughtry and that whole group. So now you had the Brooklyn political elites, and like I said before, with Charles Barron, Basil Patterson, Dickens, that was the Harlem elite. And Alton didn't fit into none of those groups. He didn't fit into none of those groups. When you really want your people to be a organization that is led, governed, and financed from within, too many people on that side had their hands out. They take anybody's money. And when you take other people's money, they're going to, in fact, send you in the way they want you to go. So once again, like I said, Alton Maddox was not part of that. He was a stickler to be self-governed within our own, and that way you keep outsiders out, and they didn't have an opportunity to steer you wrong. But it's always an issue when there's a chink in the armor, they find their way in. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Brother Divine, I see you looking. What are your thoughts on, because I mentioned, they are a problem with the reparations commission that we have here in New York. And I gave Sister Brooke and Brother Divine a little bit of information, behind the scenes. But, can you let the audience know? Because I know you said it before, but if you can, please explain to our audience what they tried to do in the bill, the current bill as it is. Go ahead.
Are you referring to the orgs being in it, or just what they've done with the?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So, what really birthed the U.S. Freeman Project and put us on our way here in New York is that the first iteration of this bill, written by said Charles Barron, that she mentioned, he had 3 NGOs, nonprofits, written into the bill, baked into the crust of the reparations legislation that he wanted to pass. Those 3 organizations were NARC Slash and Cobra, because I view them as IBW 21 and the December 12th movement.
You see Pat? You see Sister Pat laughing?
Yeah,
they trying to write themselves into the goddamn bill. Go ahead, Brother Devon. I'm gonna get off my soapbox. Go ahead.
Right. It gets even better than that. Because not only did they write themselves into the bill, they wrote themselves into the bill in such a way that I'm assuming the same type of thing that they accuse the establishment of doing, that's what they wanted to do with the bill. Give it an illusion of democracy and create an 11-person panel, but written into the bill for each one of those 3 organizations, they were allowed to appoint 2 people each. So that's 2 for each, 3 of them, 2, 4, 6, easy math. That 6 would give them the majority on an 11-person panel, thus making any decision that they wanted to come to, because they're all the same entity, appear to be voted on, but they would unilaterally control that commission and dictate what reparations looks like, but also who it goes to. Because when you study the ideology of Pan-Africanism, when it comes to reparations, especially through the NARC Slash and Cobra model, they believe in creating a slush fund that they run and control and dispense reparations where and how they see fit. And so we came on the scene seeing that bill, and that was our first ever call to action when we galvanized the people online and offline to say, look, we can't let this stand. Look what they're trying to do is over if this is what is allowed to pass as reparations. And so we got it together. We got that bill destroyed and voted down on the Senate side because it passed the House.
Right.
It passed the House that year, and at the Senate level, it got turned away. And when it got turned away, that's when we came on the scene and was like, look, since this got thrown out, now we don't have no experience in this, but we're like, listen, if they could write a bill that is unethical and should be illegal, downright and outright illegal, maybe we can write a bill. And that's what we did. We studied, we YouTubed, we researched, got with some other advocates from across the nation that was in various steps of writing legislation or learning how to write legislation, and rewrote the constitutionally sound American Freedmen Reparations Remedies Bill, which is still currently has a bill number because it got reintroduced, and Member Lucas intends to reintroduce it every session. And for this session, that is A5603 for anybody that wants to take a look at that and read that and see what a legitimate reparations bill for our people, for Foundation Black Americans, is supposed to look like. And I'll land there and take a breath.
So you see the craziness that's going on in here. And, you know, like I said, Jennifer Austin Jones is on the commission. And Sister Pat mentioned her father and her uncle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. Interesting.
And you know, sometimes you gotta be a little tricky with these folks, Sister Pat, as you know.
Yes.
So when they had the hearing here in Brooklyn, they had it at her father's church.
Bethany.
Right? Bethany Baptist, right. So, you know, I knew Sister Brooke, Brother Divine, and we had a whole bunch of others in the room that will set the tone for, you know, what it should be. So I could step back from that. So I said some things to let her know, yeah, I know your legacy. I know your legacy, I see you. See what I'm saying? So I said the things that I said, and right after that, I bounced. I went outside.
Well,
Who comes following behind me? Dun dun dun. Here she go.
let me just jump in real quick. And you talk about the legacy of her father. Her father was the one who allowed Glenda Burley to stay at his church for 45 days and night and protected her. So that's the legacy of William Augustus Jones. Now, if his child falls short of him, so be it. But as far as she do stand on the shoulder of strength. Now, if she's got buckling in her knees, it is not because of the dad. It's not from the stock that she come from. It's not the stock that she come from. So, some people will say, the apple don't fall from the tree, but then she must have rolled way off from the side, because as far as her father and her uncle, those were real men. And they really was activists and advocates of our community. And they stood strong with the Black community in their day. And I know I witnessed that. And I witnessed.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that. Isn't that what I said, Brother Divine, Sister Brooke? That how he went to Harlem to get them and came back and they sought refuge in his sanctuary? Because I want her to know, don't come to me with the BS here.
That's right.
I know where I am.
40 days.
I know who you are. Don't come with the BS.
That's right.
So Tuesday, was it Tuesday? We had another hearing in Utica, New York. Now, some of the commentary, I expected it. As I told Sister Brooke, Brother Divine, all kind of things going to be thrown at you. And so, as usual, you got other folks trying to grandfather close themselves into it, right? And I'm watching Ron Daniels with the smirk on his face. He got there a little late, but I'm watching him with the smirk on his face. Like I don't know. You ever seen that cartoon Piggy and the Brain? He just remind me of that. Sitting there. But I'm gonna go to some commentary. What Brother Divine said, and then we'll come right back and we'll discuss. Go ahead. You want to say something?
IG messed it up. Yeah, IG messed up the video. I'm trying to repost. That's what I'm doing right now in the background.
I got it from the meeting.
Don't worry. Good. Thank God, because they messed it all up.
No, I got it from the meeting, and then we'll come right back with Brother Daniel, because I know he has to go soon. So let me play this.
That just goes to show you I am great at following directions. More direction. That's what it's about. So I'm really excited to be here and be before you guys. I'm excited that my name was so close to Dr. Divine Pryor. I thought she was gonna call me. So I'm thankful for that as well. And these comments are in the spirit of getting it right. We understand that the justice claim is what the justice claim is. We know reparations is a debt owed, and we know it is a just claim. But there are rules, unfortunately, to the game that we're playing in the system that we find ourselves in. So my name is Divine Prince, and I'm the president of the U.S. Freedmen Project, a nonpartisan organization committed to resurrecting the abandoned missions of what we call the Freedmen Acts of 1865. They established the Freedmen's Bank and the Freedmen Bureau. And we're the only organization in the state of New York advocating exclusively and solely for those Black American families that survived enslavement and Jim Crow and all the badges, incidents, and vestiges of slavery. I have to begin by thanking the Black American grassroots for making this testimony here in Utica possible. They raised the funds necessary to make a trip from New York City for a Tuesday night public hearing possible. I'm also from Brooklyn, New York. And I'm glad to see that Utica is not just a street in our city. See, the white philanthropic foundations in this reparative justice space, like Liberation Ventures, the MacArthur Foundation, and others, do not fund those of us fighting for lineage-based reparations. They do, however, fund organizations that are fighting for race-based, unconstitutional reparations. And we all need to ask ourselves why that is. But I digress. I want to use this time to present recommendations for this commission. So number one, demand as a commission that the authors of this bill that created this commission, Senator Sanders and Assemblymember Salages, make amendments to the bill based on language from Assembly Bill 5603 for reparations remedies so this current bill and thus this commission can produce constitutional results. Y'all gonna hear me say constitutional a lot. I'm gonna explain what I mean by that. Number two, here at the state level, we should not be content with being outdone by what's taking place at the city level. I mean, we all work together in conjunction, but in the spirit of friendly competition, we shouldn't allow them to outdo us. And so if number one doesn't get done, at the very least, we need to follow the lead of the city level and separate racial justice from reparations. They sound the same, but they're very, very different. I'm seeing some head nods, so I'm in the right room. This commission should create a racial justice subcommittee that solely studies the racial justice for people of African descent and have a separate committee solely focused on reparations for who the debt actually has to be paid to. Those Black American families given the status of freedmen after winning the Civil War. Number three, African Americans is defined as everybody and anybody with origins in any of the Black racial groups of Africa. That means continental Africans are African American, Afro-Caribbeans are African American, Afro-Latinos are African American, Afro-Asians are African American, and then Black Americans, or who I've said and labeled as American freedmen, are also African American. The second part of that trick bag is that we're the only category that's labeled a racial group. I'm gonna get to that in a second. So this leaves Black Americans without an ethnic group recognized by the federal and state governments with which to write legislation or receive specific set-asides, resources, or contracts. We recommend that this commission demand that Governor Hochul support and push the disaggregation of data in New York State. Number four, the last time Black Americans had legislation and institutions exclusively for our people was those Freedmen Acts of 1865. We are looking for this commission to support a state-level Freedmen's Bureau and/or agency. Black Americans are the oldest, if not the oldest ethnic group in the country. We built the foundation of the state of New York and do not have a single institution in New York solely for our people like the Office of Immigrant Affairs or the Holocaust Claims Processing Office. Black Americans have more than earned an office that serves our people as well. Number five, what we know is that due to the badges, incidents, and vestiges of slavery, Black Americans have always been the #1 victim of hate crimes in the USA. Because of the definition of the African American racial category, an anti-Black or anti-African American crime bill would be unconstitutional. That's why we're calling on this commission to support an anti-Freedmen hate crime bill. In line, number 6, with the anti-Freedmen hate crime bill and the theme of both presentations you heard tonight, what we find is that the system of white supremacy has used immigration as a weapon against Black Americans since emancipation. So we find a number of immigrant groups that have committed those hate crimes against us freedmen, like the Irish during the draft riots, or the crimes due to the Italian mafia, or the Jamaican child posse that brought drugs and murder into the Black American communities during that war on drugs. We recommend this commission bring in Andre Barnes of Numbers USA to present on the effects of immigration on Black Americans. And in closing, I want to make the final and more informal recommendation to the commission. I recommend, no, I actually implore that this commission make the decision on getting on the right side of history. Politics based on race or blanket Blackness are not only a thing in the past, but race is a tool of white supremacy. Audre Lorde told us that the master's tools will never be able to dismantle the master's house. The Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment prohibits any policy based on race. It was designed to protect us against the policy of whites only, right? But that sword cuts two ways. It also prohibits policy for blacks only. See, so the future of politics is based on advocacy, based on lineage/ethnic groups, and building coalitions on respect wherever possible. If any of you saw the movie Sinners, which just garnered a number of nominations, cheap plug, the director Ryan Coogler called it a display of foundational Black American culture. See, there is a foundational Black American renaissance taking place where justice and cultural autonomy is at the heart of it. So, Commission, I beg you, please don't become yet another tool of white supremacy that we have to overcome. Thank you.
My brother.
Well said.
Let me get my brother Daniel, excuse me, final thoughts and commentary, because I know he got to cut up out of here. Brother Daniel, go ahead.
I really do hate to have to leave so early. I'm trying to get my little cousin to pick me out. No. But brother, I need that tape, by the way. I can make you a video for that. That was a great speech. I agree with. Yeah, man, that was amazing. Like I told Sister Brooke, yeah, they're gonna make it harder for y'all now. So they gonna try to make it harder. So anytime I forgot the young lady who was speaking on it earlier, but anytime we become self-sufficient and we fund ourselves, and that's the grassroots, and they can't buy you, then they're gonna pour all the other tricks. So I know you and Sister Brooke would be great. Y'all gonna do what y'all need to do. So shout out to y'all. I really do wish I could stay, but I gotta go pick up my mom. I'm sorry.
Got you, brother.
If y'all still on when I get back, I will be more than happy to hop back on. So
oh yeah, jump back on. And if not, we'll catch you on TikTok and X, and I'll make sure Sister Brooke send you that video. All right.
Okay, please do. All right, y'all have a nice night.
All right, you too, brother.
LeVon better post to his daggone self, okay?
No, but
that's why all his videos be on my page, because he. Sorry, was that background information? Sorry.
That's why we got to do what we do, Sister Brooke. That's why we do what we do. But I'm glad that they allotted him more time to speak this time. And so if you can, Brother Divine, what was your inspiration in laying out what you said in that 5 minutes? Because I know you have a lot of things in the repertoire and in the mind based on everything that's going on, but what made you settle on that piece as your delivery for this here hearing?
Oh, so that's a great question. First and foremost, I believe everything I say, everything happens in this divine order, right? And so no pun intended. But based on you checking Jennifer Jones Austin and letting her know that so that she knows and everything else that we have seen and done, but also all of the pressure that we have applied personally by being there, but also in the back and alongside us, the family putting pressure on them as well. She felt compelled, and by she I mean the chair of the task force, Dr. Chanel Hawkins. I feel like she felt compelled to make that promise to give 5 minutes. But when we saw her and she saw us, I can tell she thought she would not have to hold true to her side of the deal. She didn't think we was coming to Utica. She did not. And so when she saw us in the room, she was like, oh my, I could tell it through the smile. She was like, these what the? And so she was like, okay, you here. Okay, I'm going to give you the 5 minutes. And then she also, one thing that she said, which because what's interesting about it is that she said we made a deal, but she never, going back to that meeting, she never told me or talked to me about the 5 minutes. In fact, she told Sister Brooke about the 5 minutes because Sister Brooke was talking to her after I had stepped outside. I was outside with you shortly after the all the other commissioners started coming up to you. So this is at the end, because I believe me and you were outside at the same time that Dr. Ron Daniels, looking like a turtle, ran out and was looking like he was lost in Brooklyn. He didn't know which way was what, asking us which avenue are we on and stuff like that. So Sister Brooke came out later and told me that she said 5 minutes we go to Utica. So I knew we were going some way, somehow. So I'd already started thinking about what I would do with the 5 minutes. And so because L Joy, the former president of the Brooklyn NAACP, came up with her 5 minutes and gave recommendations on what she felt like the commission could do, I was like, you know what, by this point, and at this point, and because we have compiled most of the videos and have put them online for the family to now see what we're doing, I was like, you know what, I have spoken truth to power in the way that I've done it in those 3-minute segments to call them out. So I was like, I definitely want to make sure, since she is showcasing and giving us 5 minutes and making us a part of the agenda, I wanted to make sure and let the people know that when they see this video, we're not just there to speak truth to power. We have an agenda. We have a plan.
Right.
We understand what's at stake. We understand what needs to be done. And so let me lay out what needs to be done. But at the same time, I started that with number one, to let them know what I'm about to share with you will be null and void if the language is not constitutionally sound. So that's why I didn't ever use those 3-minute segments to make recommendations, because then they would look like recommendations for a legit and just commission, which we know that this is not. So I needed to set the stage to let everybody know this is not a just commission. We will not receive any reparations recommendations based on how this is written. People needed to understand that it is a race-based commission, thus anything they come up with will be unconstitutional. So since I had done that leading up to this 5 minutes, I was able to take the 5 minutes to lay out everything that we should be able to do if you guys move to get it right. But if you don't, then we're going to be unconstitutional all the way around. And everything that I shared will be for not any old way. But I wanted to make sure I stood on that. And like I said, what she said, and I take a breath after this, she said, oh, remember when I made the deal to give you the 5 minutes, I said that you cannot come up here and disparage any of the other commissioners. And so I said, I didn't make that deal with you. I was like, well, lucky for you, I'll come to give recommendations. I was like, but I don't want this to become something that gets twisted. Understand that moving forward, whenever, to whoever, and however, I need to speak truth to power. Understand that will be done on earth as it is in heaven. You understand what I'm saying? So you need to understand that. But for you today, understand that that's not what I'm here for. But moving forward, if this continues, if you guys don't do any of these recommendations, namely the number one recommendation of getting this thing constitutionally sound, trust and believe that we will continue to speak truth to power, because that's what we do. And that's who we are. And that's what we are here for. So, and the one thing that I took from that meeting, and which is why I know that we have to move forward with that resolve and continue to speak truth to power, is that sneaky ass comment that Dr. Ron Daniels made at the end. I'm not sure if you're gonna play it or not.
No, yeah, of course.
Okay. So I will hold that. I will hold my mule, my 40 acres and my mule. I'm gonna hold it until we get to that point, because that was intentional, the way he said it and the reasons why he said it. So I'll take a breath there.
Especially after I said what I said.
Right.
Because, Sister Pat, I know Alton is smiling on the other side. Because our folks in the U.S. Freedmen's Project and these reparation activists understand what you have to do, understanding the law, work within the paradigms of the law, and we have to legally redefine ourselves. That's what Alton said. Go ahead, Sister Pat.
Said, I commend the brother, the statement, how you put that structure, that whole statement. When you talked about the vestiges of slavery, I was like, wow, that's right out the book. You already know that. I just want to say this real quick. Sister Keisha know that I was having a little health problem. I wasn't able to move around too much, but that doesn't mean I can't support y'all ability to move around. So, Sister Keisha, please, off the air, me and you get together so I can send these people some money so they can travel to there and fro to get around. I'm doing better. I'm not sure how long these committees are going to last. Is there a timeline on this thing?
Go ahead, Sister Brooke. Tell them.
The meetings are going to take place. The meetings on this unconstitutionally sound bill hearings is going to take place until January 2027. I keep saying 2028, but it's 2027.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to be at this,
Okay.
until then. We will be at every single one, especially if the family is sponsoring us to go.
Say less.
Right.
Say less.
Right. So I'll put my Cash App in the chat I'll put it in the chat, and then Sister Keisha can put it in.
That's not an issue. That's not an issue. I just want to get back to how the brother laid it out. You laid it out. And here's the other question. Is there anybody who have a legal working with y'all? Anybody? Do you have any legal people on y'all?
So no. So let me say yes and no. So in our personal organization, no. But what we have been blessed with is member Lucas. So she is assembly member out of District 60. She is the assembly person that actually she has had, I don't know if she's in the same district or as Charles Barron. It's either the same district or adjacent to his district.
She took his seat.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's over there. That's
correct. Right. So that sister is the one that, we found her right when she was first coming into the assembly. She looked at our bill that we wrote, and what we're so thankful for it is that when you are, for those that don't know, and I didn't know this until we started doing it, when you're writing a bill draft,
right,
and you go to submit it for it to become a bill, there's a whole slew of a legal team that works for the whatever house it is.
Exactly.
So what happened was they took our bill and they kind of just translated it into the legalese. And because we were able to work with them hand in hand, because they was asking us, well, what do you mean by this? What do you want this to say? So it was almost like we became the authority because they were following our lead and what we wanted to say. And so they're like, well, this is how you would legally say that. And that's how we got the chance to get this thing legally sound without having any lawyers personally on our team. Okay. But hopefully, as we continue to expand out and this movement begins to grow and the organization grows, we're hoping and praying, and we're optimistic that others in their expertise in their spaces will come in and lend it to the movement. So
let's not forget the help of California as well.
Oh, 100% right. So that's what I'm saying.
We do have a legal representation.
Right. So we tapped in once it was all said and done, and we worked with those lawyers from the New York State New York State legislative body. We also worked very closely with Chairwoman Camilla Moore. She was the chair of the California Task Force.
Okay.
And she is a part of our nationwide network of resources and advocates that we work hand in hand in. And she is, I forgot exactly what type of law she practices, but she is very well versed on constitutional law. And she also brought in I forgot his first name, but Dean Chemerinsky, who is one of the, who is also one of the most world-renowned constitutional lawyers, and he was the one that came in and talked about. He actually gave testimony for that their task force, and told us that it cannot be done based on race. Like that's it's going to get shot down every time. And when we brought to him the concept of this freedman status that we've had since the Freedmen Acts and the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment, he was like, wow, he's like, yes, this is the way. This is how you get legislation, because that is one of the precedents that was set because of that status. But also we see status being used to create and craft legislation where people get set aside all day long. Like veteran is a status. Asylum seeker is a status. Right. And so these are different, just for those examples, those are statuses with which people get legislation. In fact, that's why Native Americans have been able to get the legislation that they get, because at the same time their native tribe is a ethnicity, it is also a federally recognized status.
Right.
And so that is what we've learned along the way so far.
Okay. Okay.
Let me play Sister Brooks clip, and then we'll come right back. Excuse me, and we'll discuss. Hold on.
Gov, and you can submit your testimony, because we'd love to hear more about that, because I think you have some important things to share. Next, we have.
Before I play that, because I want people to understand that there are two comments that are highlighted and pinned in the chat. One is Sister Brooks' Cash App. The other is the call to action. With just one click, you can send emails to all New York State representatives. You don't have to live here to do that. You can do it on your own. You can also call in to the New York Reparations Commission and leave a testimony as well. You could do that as well for those of you who can't travel here to New York. And I'll shut up and play. Hold on.
Brooke.
Hello, everyone. I just get right to it. I must correct Dr. Pryor. Nations such as Nigeria, Ghana, Benin, and Burkina Faso were not innocent bystanders in the transatlantic slave triangle. They were willing participants. When European slave purchasers informed African suppliers that enslaved captives had overthrown ships, those suppliers responded by starving, drugging, and spiritually subduing the captives to make Europeans' journeys easier and rebellions less likely. On current tours of dungeons today, Africans themselves admit that they held our forefathers there and performed rituals meant to erase the captive's memory from this life and the next. What was left unsaid is that Black mothers have suffered not only from drugs that they may have taken, but also from drugs administered by the hospitals during childbirth. And let's be clear, there are no poppy fields in New York. There are no fentanyl labs here. The U.S. government has allowed waves of immigration that brought drugs into freedmen communities, fueling destruction alongside gentrification, erasure, and removal. When Black Americans began to fight the war on us using drugs with acupuncture and other healing practices, the U.S. government criminalized them, framed them, and locked them away. Once imprisoned there, they were subject to the same processes of control and erasure that the scholars spoke of earlier. Governor Kathy Hochul supports convict leasing and wants to expand it with private companies. She signed a bill to expunge the records for good behavior, but what she doesn't say is that she wants to lock you up first, remove you from your family, and put you behind bars. Then, if you behave, she pretends it never happens. The tragedy of Khalif Browder's suicide and his mother's death from heartbreak shows us the damage is already done long before any record is clear. But reparations are not about Africa's role or even the symptoms or what is called badges of slavery. Reparations are about what this government on this land do to a specific group of people, legally referred to as the freedmen or foundational Black American, as the title that we named ourselves. And so to piggyback on Dr. Ron Daniels' earlier statement regarding his desire to be here tonight, neither friend nor foe, nor rain, nor snow, nor obstacle, may be it foreign or domestic, will stop the freedmen from fighting for our reparations claim and receiving our long overdue reparations. I just want to end by saying thank you to the Foundational Black American Grassroots for supporting us and funding us in our tireless efforts in standing up for our birthright from this government called reparations. Thank you.
I give my sister some love. Gotta give my sister some love. For those who wanted the link to the New York State Reparation Commission, that comment is highlighted in the chat, so you should be able to get that as well. So, Sister Brooke, if you will, let me pull this out real quick. If you will, because I'm not going to be able to play all of them tonight. But what was the feeling in the room? Because you know, Ron Daniels made some dumbass comments, if you will. You know, we lost. I got to get her back on stage. Ron Daniels made some dumbass comments, if you will, talking about the feeling in the room, right? You know, rolled her eyes already, but sis, let us know what it was like up there, because I heard some other commentary that really pissed me all the way off. Go ahead.
I mean, it was very, like, for lack of a better term, it was very demure. It was very, and instead of whatever, you know what I mean? Like, they weren't like really boisterous or anything like that. And I think that's basically what he meant. And then it wasn't, if you listen to, when President Divine was speaking, you could hear me in the background with my amen, hallelujahs, and the rest of the crowd really wasn't like that. But I'm like that wherever I go, whatever time it is, it don't even matter. I'm like that at church. So, that's the way it is. And it wasn't like that in the room. And I think that's basically what he was referring to when he said that, he wanted it to be like that. He didn't want people to agree with other people. So, whatever, but they were annoying me because even the people that they brought up, first of all, they're constantly they're trying to bring this black and brown situation in there. They had this woman who wasn't black sitting there talking about how the prison system, affected black people, or black and brown people, but reparations is not for brown people, it's for black people. So why the hell you even here? Then they brought on this other guy who didn't even have his PowerPoint. And he was sitting here talking about, that's why I went hard the way I did, because he started talking about how we were stolen and how they stomped on babies' heads and all this kind of stuff. But yet and still, you want to bring people into our justice claim that weren't here for that. They weren't stolen. They weren't brought here. Let's put it that way. They weren't stolen either, because we were sold. They weren't brought here. They were brought to someplace else. And you constantly trying to interject these people into our justice claim. So, that annoyed me. And that is why, in case y'all don't know, all of my speeches are written live. So I listen to the BS that they say. I write it down, and then I craft my speech around it. So if you text me or you tweeting me live, I'm not paying attention. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not, because I'm busy writing, okay, and correcting, and trying to make sure my spelling is good and make sure that I can see. That'd be the other issue, because I'm getting old. Okay, and so I'm busy. So, everything that I was saying, it might have sounded like I was a little all over the place, but I was rebutting the things that they said earlier. And so they talked about the fact that, like I said, they talked about the fact that we were stolen, and I wanted to make sure to correct him. And honey, when the meeting was over, if they could have killed me with their eyes, I'd be dead, child. And I loved every minute of it. I said, you can't do nothing about it. I bet you can't do nothing about it, but look at me crazy. Okay. So, they were upset because I had to correct their scholar, who didn't look very scholarly when I was finished.
You talking about Dr. Pryor, right?
Yeah, Dr. Pryor. We won't even say his first name because he doesn't deserve it. So, yeah, Dr. Pryor. So, I had to correct him. And then even with the young lady that they brought in, they failed to mention the fact that, because they try to I don't like the fact that they constantly making it seem like we as a people made bad decisions to get on drugs, when it is on record that, especially with women in the hospital, that they will give you the drugs. So your blood is clean. They will give you the drugs, then test you for the drugs, then lock you up for the drugs that they gave you, that you don't even know that they gave you, because you just in the hospital. You don't know what they putting in your IV. This is something that I've talked about on my YouTube, on my Instagram in the past, that this is a fact. This is not something I'm making up. This is not hyperbolic here. you know. And then on top of that, you know, the more and more studies I'm doing, I'm realizing that they dosed a lot of our family. You know, when you really look at why did Huey P. Newton get on drugs? How did Huey P. Newton get on drugs? How are you in an organization that is completely against drugs and then you end up on drugs? Did someone dose you with these drugs? Because once you're dosed, you're hooked. It's not your choice if somebody doses you. So once they do that to you and then now you're hooked and make it seem like that was your choice to do it. And it's been proven through documentaries like they use drugs used as a weapon against us on Amazon Prime. Please take a look at that documentary, that they dose people like Assata Shakur. They, you know, and so once you find out they did it to Assata, and then look at, even if you want to talk about Smalls,
Something happened to her connection. We'll get her back in real quick. Let me remove her, and when she's ready, she'll come back to continue her comment. Thank you, SLL44, for the super chat, and Sister Angela, thank you for the support. The U.S. Freedmen's Project, definitely appreciate you. I'm gonna play my commentary because, you know, just so y'all know. It's great that we are there when we could be there. Brother Devon, Sister Brooke always make it their business to be there, along with the ladies from the U.S. Freedmen's Project. But like I said, you could call in and give your testimony, and sometimes you can give your testimony on Zoom. And so that's what I did this go round. So I'm gonna play this, and then we'll come right back to Sister Pat before I go to Ron Daniels, because he really pissed me all the way off. So let me play this and we'll come back. Hold on.
People that are on Zoom. So next we have Keisha Forrester. If Keisha Forrester would join.
Thank you for inviting me to speak. I come from a descendant of foundational Black Americans who lived through the era of slavery in the state of New York. When many people speak about slavery, they look south. But New York was deeply involved in the institution for over 2 centuries. My ancestors lived in a state where enslaved Black people cleared land, built infrastructure, worked on the ports, maintained households, fought in the Civil War, and generated wealth that flowed directly to New York's economy. Enslaved labor was embedded into daily life. New York City once had one of the largest enslaved populations north of the Chesapeake. Even after gradual emancipation laws were passed, freedom in New York was not guaranteed or secure. Many free Black people in the state faced constant threat from organized kidnapping rings. These so-called kidnapping clubs would seize free Black men, women, and children from the streets, the docks, and even from their homes. Some were lured with forced job offers. Others attacked outright. Once taken, they were transported south, sold into slavery, disappearing from their families forever. Court records, newspaper reports, and community petitions from the time show how widespread and terrifying this practice was. Families like mine lived under double fear: the trauma of enslavement itself and the knowledge that even freedom would be stolen at any moment. The kidnapping of free Black New Yorkers was not a rare event. It was a system supported by corruption, weak legal protections, and the economic incentive of selling Black bodies into bondage. I listened to a lot of testimony tonight, and I have to say this over and over again. It is a disservice and an injustice to try to grandfather clause other groups onto a reparations claim. Reparations is for services rendered to those who endured that system. And we, the descendants, foundational Black American freedmen, deserve reparations. No other group, no other ethnic body, and no program will satisfy that. We have studied our lineage, know exactly where we come from, know our people who were enslaved, and just the mere fact that on both sides of my family, two to four persons fought in the Civil War, of which I have documentation from the African American Civil War Museum. I don't want reparations going to anyone for anything other than the descendants of foundational Black American freedmen. Period. Point blank. The end. Enough of the grandfather closing, and stop looking for programs. Programs will never save Black people. And I'll land there.
All right.
The disrespect was just rampant. You had somebody who was Afro-Asian coming in there talking some crap. The Latino chick, she said, forget about the past. We got to work. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Sister Pat, because I know that triggered something for you, going back to Brother Divine when he said badges of slavery. How important was that Alton teaching us what badges of slavery was?
Well, when Brother Chairman Alton laid down this thing about the badges of slavery, he even went back and he expounded when the New York was New Amsterdam under the Dutch colonies, and I'm gonna do some research myself, and it might help what you're doing. It might help what y'all doing, because I remember there was a whole thing that he wrote about this, and it's all up in here. I gotta go back. I got a lot of paperwork, and it might help. It might really give you the supporting foundation that's necessary. And once again, you can get the legal people to put it together in a structured manner. But this is, matter of fact, he had a very long teaching history on this, and he did a lot of paperwork, and I may have it. I may have it to be able to, you may be able to use it to continue what you're doing. But as far as what each one of y'all said, and I've followed y'all on this committee and listened to what y'all said previously, and it seems like now y'all, even between what you're saying now and what you're saying then, y'all actually condensed it. Y'all made it more defined. What y'all saying? I'm listening to all three of y'all, and y'all really are defining what it is probably needed to do what it needs to do. It's clear, Sister Keisha, because I went with you to that Civil War. We've been there several times with the organization. Our ancestors fought, as they say, in all these wars. You know, there's nothing. Nobody's looking for a handout. Give us what we owe. Give the people what they're owed. You made promises and you didn't fulfill it. However, there are new promises made and fulfilled for other people. You know, there are new promises made and they fulfill them. But the old promises they made for us, they didn't fulfill. And if you have to hold this committee feet to the fire from a New York to California and everything in between, where it makes sense for people who've been in this country from a historical perspective, that tilled the land, fought the wars, birthed the help nourish the babies, and so on and so forth. The time is overdue. The time is overdue, and I'm personally glad that this has resurfaced. I say that is because that old organization and Cobra, I remember them years ago. They really didn't get much traction with this, and I'm telling you, this is years ago. I'm telling y'all, believe you me when I say years ago. Okay, and it fizzled out, and to see that is reconnecting, I mean, y'all making my heart well. I mean, I'm like, oh wow, this is beautiful that y'all have picked up the amble and moved this forward. Because I tell you, years ago, you know, I wasn't in it, but I was on a peripheral of an organization that was down with that in Cobra years ago. So I know it just does my heart well, and I'm sure it does the ancestors' heart well that y'all are able to move this forward. And like I said, I will be able to, off air, Keisha, I'll get with you and work something out. So like I said, when my body gets better and I can travel, but in the meantime and in between time, I don't mind supporting you, because I know that was one of the big things when I was part of United African Movement. I had a job for 25 years. I couldn't make everything, but one of the things we did as United African Movement, we sponsored other members who were able to make the journeys. You can't physically be there. You support other people. You give them the bus ticket and let them go to fill in those seats, to be out there on the protest line or whatever it is. So that's not a issue, and I'd be more than willing to do that without a problem. I'd be more than glad to do it.
Thank you, sis. Definitely appreciate you. I'm gonna play this clip of Ron Daniels, and then we'll come right back to Sister Brooke, excuse me, and Brother Devon, because I want people to understand that, as Alton said, who in our lifetime, one of the greatest legal minds ever. And we ain't saying that. White folks say that.
That's
but
it.
Anyway, he said it more than once that when it comes to reparation, Black people in America are going to have to redefine ourselves.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That's exactly what he said.
Thank you, sis. So, go ahead. You got something to say, sis? I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying that's exactly what he said.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly.
And so when I hear people in a tizzy because we doing what the greatest legal mind said, what our ancestors said, what the elders in our family said, they get in a tizzy. And so I'm gonna play this clip of Ron Daniels, but I'm gonna come right back because I want people to see that there were people before Pan-Africanism was a thing, who said the exact same thing we're saying, who said the exact same thing that we're saying. And so let me play this clip and we'll come right back. Hold on.
And Linda Brown Robinson, thank you for that reminder.
Well, I think the applause is certainly warranted. I am so glad I was able to come through the snow, all the other obstacles I ran into to be here. There was so much brilliance in the room. There was so much joy in the room. And there was certainly civility in the room. And I unite with, I think it was Jamel, who talked about divisions and his soul thirsting for harmony. We don't all necessarily have to agree, but it's the way in which we discuss issues that becomes important. And so I just found it very powerful. There was so much joy and so much togetherness and so much love in the room. This is how we ought to proceed in terms of our hearings. And I hope that this hearing will serve as a model to the other hearings that we've had, that we will have around the state. So thank you, Utica, for providing the blueprint for our future hearings. Thank you very much.
I'm throwing tomatoes.
heavy ones. And he's saying that because, like I said, since Rochester, I made it my business to let them know that they all compromise. Every time. Because I know the legacy of these organizations, Sister Pat. So I let them know that they all compromise. So, when I came on, I just let them know that I'm tired of the BS. I'm tired of the BS. Thank you, Sister Aruba, for the super chat. Sister Brooke, your commentary.
Okay, on Dr. Ron Daniels, first of all, I want everybody to understand that on our way there, it was like almost like a blizzard.
Yeah.
The snow was crazy getting up there. Thank God it stopped once we got in the building, but it was treacherous getting up there. So, before I even talk about, these people who I can't stand, let me talk about the people who I love. because of the family's help, it was nothing like, because I had got, I'm a very frugal person. So I had got the cheapest car we could get, you know what I'm saying, to get up there. But when I heard about the weather, I upgraded to 4-wheel drive. You know what I'm saying? I was like, what you got that got 4-wheel drive? And so because of the family, I was able, to do that with no problems. You know what I'm saying? So we could get up there. So when you hear me say, that no matter what, rain, snow, and we've been there, like if you see a lot of the other testimonies, we got on rain boots. Because a lot of times when we go into these meetings, it rained for a lot of these meetings. You know what I mean? So whether it be rain, and even the one that they canceled in Brooklyn, it was pouring down buckets of rain, and I was still on my way, and they canceled it. I was still on my way in the buckets of rain. So, people who think that, that weather is going to stop us is not going to stop us. People who who share our lineage but are allying with our enemies, you're not going to stop us. People who, from the time I met you, you have been controlled opposition, and now because you thought I was a nobody and that nobody would ever know what you did and how you moved. And now you are back again being controlled opposition, but now you are showing your face to the people who you respect. I still see you. I know who you are. And now everybody knows who you are. So nobody's going to get in our way. So you could come in here loud and late. And you could come in here being controlled opposition, but the train is already moving. It's moving 100 miles an hour. And if you get in the way, you're going to get run over. Okay, so back to Dr. Ron Daniels. So, he is just he has been, that's why she came to us and was like, oh, you made a deal. When she told me that President Devine had 5 minutes, she never, ever mentioned to me about a deal. She never said what we could and could not talk about. And the fact that they had the NAACP there, and the NAACP had nothing, because I've asked President Devine, because I wasn't always there in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't there in the beginning, but I have asked President Devine, what did the NAACP do to help you guys? They didn't help with the unconstitutional bill, and they didn't help with the constitutionally sound bill either. So they gave her 5 minutes before they gave President Devine 5 minutes. So this is the type of, situation that we got going here with Dr. Ron Daniels. And so, he's a constant thorn on our side. And at this point, we don't even listen to him. Like, he's just a non-factor. And that's pretty much it. That's all I have to say about that. I also wanted to say, he was also very instrumental in that business meeting where they voted to try to squash our voices. But you see, that didn't work. Okay, it's not working. It's not working because the train has already left the station and it's traveling 100 miles an hour. So, these are tactics that they're continuously trying to use, like by having the meeting up there in Utica, because they thought we wasn't going to be there. When she saw 2 ghosts. That's how she looked at us, like, oh, two nigga ghosts. She said, oh yeah, hi, we're here. Get my mic ready. So, she was, they weren't expecting us. And we came to do what we came to do. And he ain't like it. And he'll be mad. Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Am I to believe that these meetings have to be in all 62 of the counties?
I don't know if they have to be in all 62 of the counties, but they are trying to spread them out. Why they would have the upstate meetings in the winter time is beyond me. Look like to me, You should have had it in places where the weather wouldn't be as much of an obstacle during the winter time. But, you know, I guess that is also controlled opposition, like some people in the chat.
Just so people know, you know, because Sister Brooke is no stranger to getting it done. She was the mastermind with getting the Red Apple Nail Salon shut down.
I'm on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Sorry. Go ahead.
But you did have people who came in to sabotage that.
Controlled opposition.
So, just for some background and some clarity, she's not new to this.
Right.
So, let me just show this real quick. Because I want people to know that others said the same things that we're saying. And I have this little cartoon caricature, you know, up here, because it's legally sound for me to do so. You know, I take the same steps that a court artist would take, which is why it makes it legally sound. One thing that Alton did tell us to do was understand the law and how it works and work within its paradigms, and always put history at the forefront of everything that you're looking at. So, several influential Black American leaders between 1870 and 1920 argued strongly that Black people in the United States were Americans and should not identify politically or culturally with Africa. This position shows up repeatedly among leaders who believe Black Americans were a distinct people.
That's true.
A unique lineage, history, and destiny in the United States.
Right.
Very similar to, you know, what we now call foundational Black American framework. Frederick Douglass, until his death, his position, Black people are Americans, not Africans. And he said this in many speeches. And here are some quotes that he gave. He said, "We are a nation within a nation." He argued that Black Americans had built America with their blood and labor and suffering, therefore had earned the full claim of that nation.
That's right.
He denounced colonization movements and said African identity was being imposed by whites who wanted Black Americans removed. Excuse me. And so this is just a highlight of some other things. He said, "We are Americans and have the right to America. This is our home, not Africa. America is where Black people belong." He said, "I know no country where the conditions of my people will be improved by going to Africa." Opposing being labeled African. He said, I'm not an African. I'm an American of African descent."
Right.
Douglass emphasized that Black Americans were a new people formed in America. How many times we have to say there was an ethnogenesis? That happened. That's the same thing that he said.
Mm-hmm.
He says, excuse me, against African immigration and African identity, rejecting the idea that Black people belong in Africa. He says, "There is not a man beneath the sky that has a better claim to the soil of America than Black men. Immigration is a fantasy. To tell the Negro that his true home is in Africa is to close his eyes to the truth of history. Pan-African ideology is misdirected. The American Negro is no African. His destiny is here, and he must fight for it here."
That's right.
Yeah.
Timothy Thomas Fortune. His position, Black Americans are an American people with American political claims.
That's right.
Fortune was one of the most important Black journalists of the late 19th century. His stance, he rejected African immigration and said Black people had no connection to Africa except ancestry lost centuries earlier. He wrote that Black Americans were native-born Americans and should fight for the rights as Americans. Politically, he argued that Africa has nothing to offer the Negro of America. excuse me, one of his quotes, Black people are native born American. Excuse me, Black people are a native born American race. We are native to the soil of the United States.
That's
now,
right.
when people today say we are of the soil, you just repeating what he said. That's all we doing, repeating what they said. We are not Africans. He said, rejecting African immigration, Africa has nothing to offer the Negro American. His fortunes are here. A distinct American group.
That's
we
right.
are separate people in America, but we are Americans.
That's right.
Fortune is one of the clearest voices claiming Black Americans were an American ethnic group.
That's right.
He said, excuse me, Africa is not our home. We have no country but the United States. Africa is no more our home than China. Rejecting early Pan-African movement. The Negro American must stop dreaming of Africa. His battle is here on this soil. Africa cannot absorb us. It's a folly to suppose Africa could receive or sustain 12 million Negroes of America. Booker T. Washington,
run it down.
who Garvey modeled his UNIA after. His position, identity and destiny of Black people were fully American. Washington never advocated Pan-Africanism and discouraged identification with Africa in a political sense. He argued that Black progress must be rooted in American soil. He openly opposed colonization schemes, sending Black people to Africa. He stressed that Black people were an American class, not African diaspora identity. He says, America is our country. The Negro needs no Africa. His home, his interests, and his future are here in America. We are Americans by birth and right. We are Americans in birth and sentiment, in ideas and in hopes. Opposing African immigration movements, it is a mistake to suppose that the Negro can find anywhere on earth a better opportunity than here. Isn't that why everybody else flee here?
Come on.
Hey.
Washington repeatedly rejected African identification and insisted on American belonging. Booker T. Washington against Africa-based political identity. Washington consistently dismissed African immigration movements and discouraged identification with Africa as a political home. Pan-African schemes are harmful. And I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say my thoughts for later. In my closing, because they sure wasn't there for Alton, and I'm gonna keep moving. But anyway, Black progress must happen in America. The Negro who thinks his opportunity lies in Africa deceives himself. We are American, not African nationals. The American Negro is not an African tribesman, but an American citizen. William Monroe Trotter. His position, Black American struggle, was the domestic American fight.
That's right.
African-based. Trotter fiercely criticized any ideology that suggested Black Americans were not fully American. He believed immigration to Africa was a distraction. Black people were entitled to full citizenship because of their American lineage. Okay? And contributions. Black political identity should be rooted in U.S. constitutional rights. William Monroe Trotter, political identity is American. We are Americans, not Africans, and we claim our rights here. Africa is not our destiny. The Negro destiny is in the United States, not Africa. Immigration is a distraction. No man born on this soil should be told that his country is across the sea. Trotter was extremely clear about Black Americans being African. Trotter was against immigration and African nationalism. A fierce anti-immigration voice, especially when Garveyism began rising just before 1920. condemning African immigration. We are not Africans, but Americans, and we will not be driven from our own country. Warning against Pan-African propaganda. The Negro needs no flag, but the stars and stripes. Immigration is surrender. To leave America is to surrender our birthright as citizens. And all of this can be Googled. For those who want to know, you could Google all of this. Before he turned Pan-African, W.E.B. Du Bois, his position emphasized Black Americans as a distinct American group. He emphasized Negro American, who had developed into a new ethnic group unique to the United States. What is an ethnogenesis? Stressed the need for American integration rights and recognition. Was skeptical of immigration to Africa. Later, of course, he changed his mind. Ended up living and dying, in Ghana. But here are some of the things that he said prior. The American Negro is a new group in the world, neither African nor European, but American. Belonging to America, we are Americans not by choice, but by birth and history. The color line is an American problem. The problem of the Negro is not African, it is American. And here, Alexander Crummell, who was a strong supporter of Africa, a free Black man out of New York City. Let's see what he says. Pan-African romanticism. Okay, because remember, he supported, actually, he had missions, Christian missions to Liberia and other places. So anyway, I hate to digress, but Africa is not the origin of the Negro nationality. The Negro of America is not African. His nationality is American, as fixed as that of any native-born citizen. Immigration is not a solution. A nation cannot be built by abandonment of one's homeland. David Walker. David Walker's appeal. Go back and read it.
That's right.
He quotes, America is our birthright. America is more our country than it is the whites. We have enriched it with our blood. David Walker's appeal. Walker directly rejected the idea of an African nationality for Black Americans. David Walker's appeal, often miscast as proto-Pan-African. Walker was the opposite. He said Black Americans must claim America, not Africa. America is more our country than it is the whites. America is more our country than it is the whites, We have enriched it with our blood, rejecting the idea of Africa as a homeland. We are Americans by birth and by suffering. Our lot is here. Go back and read the appeal if you haven't. James Fortin, a wealthy Black abolitionist, Philadelphia, opposing colonization. This land, which we have watered with our tears and our blood, is now our mother country. Philadelphia, I already say he's Philadelphia. I've had abolitionist, publicly opposed back to Africa ideology decades before Pan-African, before it became Pan-African. This land is now our mother country. This land, which we have watered with our tears and blood, is now our mother country. Against identifying Africa as a home. Africa is no home for us. We know not its customs nor its people. Charles Lennox, prominent Black abolitionist, against African identity. I am not an African. I am an American. Wronged and despised, but American still. And like I said, all of these y'all could Google for yourself. If you want to read the things in its entirety, I would encourage you to go to newspapers.com. And you have to pay for some of these. Okay. I have a subscription, so I don't have to pay for it. But anyway, Henry Highland Garnett,
Oh, come on, keep it going.
Often portrayed as Pan-African, but he was not. This is our home, and here is our work. This is our home, and here is our work. We are not to flee to Africa. That was a part of his sermon in 1850. We are Americans by birth and duty. We are Americans by birth and duty. Our struggle is here. 1851. Martin Delany, the father of Pan-Africanism, before he turned. You see, you got to dig in. Before he went Pan-Africanist, this is what he said. Even Delany, who admired Africa, said Black Americans were not Africans culturally or nationally. The colored people of the United States are not Africans. The colored people of the United States are not Africans. They are new people, distinct from any African tribe.
New people.
This quote is extremely important. Delany was one of the few pro-immigration voices, yet he still said Black Americans were a distinct American ethnic group, not Africans. Now, newspapers, The Elevator and Pacific Appeal, West Coast Black Press, 1860s. Black Californians also rejected African identification. Quote, we are not Africans. We are Americans by birth, by education, and by long residence. The Freedmen's Journal, the Black American-owned newspaper, U.S. History. It repeatedly rejected colonization to Africa and rejected labeling Black Americans as Africans. We are Americans. We were born here. We are Americans, and America is our country. Their article, March 30th, 1827. Africa is not our home. This is our home. This is our country. Beneath its soil lie the bones of our fathers. Their article, April 20th, 1827. Rejecting African colonization. We wish to plead our own cause. We ask only for our rights as Americans, not for transport to Africa. Their article, the Freedmen's Journal, 1828.
That's right.
We are not Africans in condition or character. We are people born in America, and for America, we are destined. Their article, 1828. So, the Freedmen's Journal, you had a California press, and they said the same thing.
Come on.
Excuse me. The Colored American. This article was very, very interesting because the piece here on the left, this article is about a kidnapped Black boy, okay, in Madison, Iowa. But anyway, the Colored American, a major early Black newspaper, extremely explicit about rejecting African return and African identity. Quote, we are Americans in language, in habits, in feelings, in hopes. Africa is no more our home than Britain is the home of the white American. 1837. Africa immigration is misguided. We should immigrate to Africa. Our claims are here. Our birth is here. Our wrongs are here. 1838, their article. Black Americans are a new people. 1839, we are a new class of people, distinct from African tribes from which our ancestors came. Colored American, October 19, 1839. That's just a breakdown of what I read before from these papers. So, in summary, you have some of the greatest Black minds, the greatest and first Black newspaper tell you who we are. I don't want our folks walking around here confused. You see? Because you get things twisted. And that's why, we, Sister Pat, had the pleasure of studying under the greatest legal mind because he taught us research.
That's right.
To dig deeper.
That's
you know, author used to say, I paid such and such amount of dollars for these newspapers.
Yes.
Real talk.
Yeah.
Real talk. The subscription ain't cheap.
Real talk. One of the things that we were responsible for doing. Now, if you did it, you did it. And I did do it, especially at that particular time. And we were able to get a lot of different newspapers back then here in New York City. And I lived close to a newsstand that had available to you back then all of the Black daily and weekly newspapers. And I would rack them up. You rack them up. And I'm telling you, the information would be there for us. And this is I gotta remember, y'all, this is before the internet and the Google searching and stuff like that, when you really had to read newspapers, the actual newspapers. And if you did it, and if you didn't, you still come on Wednesday and you get shared, because whoever opens up the UAM's form would have to have a lot of this stuff in advance. So you, even if you didn't personally buy the newspapers, the host would have to have this information, and giving the audience all of the local and some of the not local news from Black newspapers of that time. But Sister Keisha, I just want to say something to you. You just stole my little thing. Now, listen. When I asked you earlier what this program was going to be about, see, I'm just explaining this. Listen, I had all of this. You can see this. I know. So this is my handwritten stuff. Handwritten. All of this stuff about all those newspapers you talking about. See, that's how you go in. You do your little. So when I asked you what we were going to do, I just went immediately, did my little, because I still do old school, and just sit there. And all of these people and pictures that you put, see, all of that you just gave is the history. And we'll talk a little more off the air. But y'all don't even realize you have at your hand what you need to put this whole thing together. It's already there. It's documented. It's already laid out. You just got to put it together in a way from a historical perspective. That's what he said. Now, I use the Alton's acronym: HELP: History, Ethics, Logic, and Philosophy. And when you say, it's funny, you had the nerve. Here, my little thing. We wish to plead our own case. Too long have others spoken for us. Right? That's it.
Hold on, Sister Pat. Now, I didn't share my notes with Sister Pat. I did not share my notes. I shared some with Tad, Brooke, and Devon. But I didn't share anything with Pat.
I had this stuff. I did a little quick little rundown. And I said, yeah, this is all the stuff. It's all there. It's all laid out. You don't have to reinvent this wheel.
We was trained by the best.
Adam Powell said, use what's in your hand. If nobody believes what you're saying, listen to the historical records. It tells us already. Don't be disrespectful. I got family who's been here, and I've got family who just got here. I'm on both sides of it. But the reality is, from a perspective of those who laid the blood, sweat, and the tears, yes, they should be compensated easily because they did the work. All of this set aside, put something aside. You talked about it. They spoke up and they reneged. We all know Andrew Johnson reneged, so on and so forth. The Brewer was set up prior to that and they reneged. Even Sherman gave some of the land that was confiscated in the South to some of the people till they got it snatched back. So, it's an old adage, but you know what? It does my heart well to see that the anvil has been picked up to forward this reparation thing forward. Like I said, I was on the periphery of it years ago with Ann Cover and a brother named Roosevelt. I don't even know if he's still alive, but I remember he was the chair of ANCOBA way back there. I mean, this is I'm telling y'all, this is like 80s, early 80s or something, long time ago. But I didn't hear any much about it until recently when I started listening to y'all, and it does the heart well. And don't get me wrong, you're going to have those old heads that's going to try to throw you know, something, that's what they do. They get paid to do what they do. That's been the reason why they're around for as long as they are. They paid informants, and they're a bunch of poverty pimps, and that's what they do. Like I said, guy been around hooking his caboose up to any engine he could since I met him when I was a teenager, and I'm no teenager. Been a long time. And is that his daughter that's on that committee as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you talking about Ron Daniels or?
Yeah, Ron Daniels.
No, that's not his daughter. That's a different one.
That's not his daughter?
No.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure. Because the name, she got a hyphenated name.
Yeah.
Oh, just checking.
So, Sister Brooke, Brother Divine, Tad, Sister Marcia, going that order. What are your thoughts on what those ancestors who came before us said?
Man.
They sound like my mama, who told me, even when I'm going to the Pan-African festivals, when I'm wearing the leather African medallions and my cousins are taking me here and I'm saying that I'm an African American and I'm doing all these things, my mother kept telling me, we are not African. Just with the same face. I look like my mother when I saw myself. I look like her. Regina said it. The same face. She's just confusion. She's looking at me like, what's wrong with you, baby? We are not African. And so, when we have controlled opposition who's afraid and ashamed to even tell us where their family is from. See, I'm not ashamed, nor am I afraid. But there was a day when they tried to make us feel afraid, or not even afraid, but they tried to make us feel like we would be disowning the African in us by saying we were natives. I remember a day when the Pan-Africans ran the yard and basically told us that we could not claim, they made fun of us for claiming our Native American heritage. Those days are over. And I understand you getting paid to be control opposition, but I don't care. I'm not ashamed to say where my family's from. My father's from South Carolina. My mother's from Louisiana. So I'm not ashamed to say where my family's from. Where is yours from? You say you FBA, but where are you from? Where is your family from? Who raised you? So when I hear all of those scholars, and it took you so long to go through it because it was so much to say and so many people to list, all it does is I hear my mama in my head. We are not African, baby. We are Americans. And don't you let anybody tell you different, no matter who they are.
Brother Divine.
Man, first and foremost, I'm gonna need that. So if I can get that up off you,
yeah.
I definitely need those slides.
That's right.
I got you.
Perfect. One of the, no one of them is better than the other. But I do have a soft spot in my heart for Henry Highland Garnett, only because of my connection. When I first started doing this work, I was, desperate to connect with and work with the Weeksville Heritage Center because of the Brooklyn connection, and just because of just being one of the largest free Black settlements, outside of after the Civil War, but also because they had their newspaper was called the Freedmen's Torchlight. And Henry Highland Garnett lived in Weeksville And I love his particular story on that list of individuals because he helped found the African Civilization Society. And so his evolution was, yeah, I think we need to move to Africa. And as as he evolved, he understood that, wait, hold on, no, those ain't us. That ain't us. To more so to the point of him recruiting individuals to fight in the Union Army for our country to recognize our emancipation. And so for him to go from where he started to where he ended, and understanding and promoting, no, this is who we are and this is where we belong, is just it's a powerful evolution and a microcosm of who we are as a people. And Sister Brooke just said something so profound, as she usually does, and I don't know if she understood how profound it was. And she said she understands that the Pan-Africans used to run the yard. And that was by design, right? As we see, there was a moment in time where we knew to borrow from the church. We knew who we were and who we are, and we know whose we were and whose we are. And then there was a moment in time, obviously in between then, before we get to now, where there was a convolution, if that's a word, of who we were and who we are, which we believe in, this, which we know now to be a tool of white supremacy, to take us away from who we were and who we are and whose we were and whose we are, and introduce shame and introduce low self-esteem and introduce the concept of denationalization. Because I've said this before and I'll say it again, if you don't have ownership of a place, you don't care what happens in that place and to that place. And Pan-Africanism requires us to have no ownership and no claim to this country, so that it can then be a free-for-all for anyone to do what they want, how they want, when they want, and with whoever else they want. And this foundational Black American Renaissance, to quote Jay-Z, I know he's problematic, but I quote him often. We took their high score down and put our name up, Ninja. And so now we are back to running the yard. And I'll say this to the Pan-Africans that are watching live, that are going to watch on the playback, that are having all types of identity crises because our high score now is at the top. And the yard now belongs back to us. Change is hard, but change is here. And I don't know what it's going to take for y'all to let it settle in and sizzle in your spirit, but you got no choice at this point. Because your heyday and your glory days, those are over. And we're not sorry about it. Because when y'all ran the yard, y'all was running amok. And y'all was doing all types of bullshit. And we are here to tell you, in accents that you can understand and worship, that we are not getting jiggy with that shit. It's over. And I'll let you there.
Okay.
Oh my Lord. Before I go to Sister Marcia, I want Sister Pat to chime in here because the chairman of UAM was from the foundation. clear and concise. However, he brought under the umbrella everybody.
True.
At the same time, those organizations who identify with a Pan-African ideology helped to do him in. What do you say to that, Sister Pat?
I'm not sure if the ideology of the Pan-African done him in. I just think it's just a few individuals, whether they not Pan-African, they pan self, they pan making sure their pockets are full, and they can move in these spaces with on the back of other people. Most, and I'm not saying all, but most of the people that Brother Maddox was dealing with was what y'all call foundational Black. There might have been a few Caribbeans here and there, but they were not the masses. The truth of the matter, United African Movement, 99.99% of the people there was probably foundation. The other 1% might have been of Caribbean. And if there was a fraction of continental Africans, I don't remember them being in that organization. I don't really remember no continental Africans really being part of the United African Movement in the 30-something years that we existed. So I don't think any outsiders from that position did him in. I just think it was people within, who were about themselves, trying to get outside to move up within their own space. And I asked him. I honestly, matter of fact, let me just share this little small story. I know you pressed for time, but I think we were the Maddox and Sister Maddox was sitting together, and I remember telling Brother Maddox, I said, I remember Al Sharpton before you met him. And he said, what? And I said, I'm telling you, I know this guy long. You don't know this guy. And he said, you right about that, Sister Pat? And he told me when he met him. So I'm just saying, he said, you just never know the people you're going to meet. You have to trust people, because he was trying to build. And then you take people in, you don't know until later on they put that knife in your back, or they'll turn over on you. So let me just say that a trusted man he was, and unfortunately some people did him in. But he was also done in because these people up here considered themselves city slickers, and he was a country boy from Georgia. But with that said, the hospitality that he was raised with, and the people who raised him in a way to be trustworthy and trusting and buy into all of that, to unite us as a people, despite the fact that there are people that was in the midst, with a bunch of king cobras. And those king cobras suck up anybody. They eat all types of snakes. So that's what they do.
Yes, Sister Angela. She said, is it possible to be FBA and Pan-African? Is it either or can it be both? Would love to hear your thoughts on that. Listen, we're not coming for everybody. There are a lot of people who are on code, and there's a hell of a lot more who ain't. And that's what we're coming for. If you're on code with us and get the hell out of our way, we fine. I don't want to hear in reparations hearings people talking about the diaspora. Go get your bread from the British. Go get your bread from the French. Go get your bread from the Belgian. Don't come over here with that foolishness.
That's right.
And that's where this all triggered from.
Right.
Because we got so many people in our way. Go ahead, Brother Devon.
Now, I just wanted to give a short answer and a long, more like a nuanced answer. So to answer your question directly, sister, is it possible to be foundational Black American and Pan-African? 100% absolutely. Because Pan-Africanism is an ideology. Foundational Black American is your lineage. Either you were born a foundational Black American or not. Here's the better question that you should ask yourself. Is it possible to be a foundational Black American Pan-Africanist and be on code with the collective of your people? That's the question that you should ask. Because what we're finding is that when you are a foundational Black American Pan-Africanist, what happens is, and what tends to happen based on what I believe is at the core of Pan-Africanism is a need for foundational Black Americans to be a stateless, identityless people, because when we are that, then we can be shaped and molded to do the bidding of what the Pan-Africanist agenda is. By us standing on our lineage and saying, nope, we're proud to be here, we're going to stand up for that, and we're going to prioritize our people like all the other Afro groups do, Pan-Africanism starts to fall apart because it needs us to look to everywhere else but to what our families did here. And so that to that second question, can you be a foundational Black American Pan-Africanist and be on code with your ethnic group and with your lineage, with your family? The answer that we're finding out largely is no.
Sister Marcia, and then we'll go to Brother Tad. Excuse me.
Well, I'll say this much. I am a supporter of FBA. I am Pan-Africanist because my parents come into this country. So if America were to say you had to go somewhere, I would have to go somewhere. And even the country that my parents were born in would probably kick me out too. Because I don't know their language. I don't know their inside customs. I just know what I know by my vacation time, right? I spend my summers there. I know where my grandparents' bones are, but that doesn't make me an Haitian for them. Right. And it doesn't make me American either, right? Because I was just born here. I'm a stateless person. So I am for the agendas of Pan-Africanism and for the agendas of foundational Black Americans, because they do have a country. I don't think that they don't. I remember as a little girl, there were a family that used to go down south for the summer. And when we would all come back and for the block party and stuff like that, I would always ask them about, where'd you go? How was it? This, that, and the third. And in that particular time in the 70s, people didn't want to talk about where they went in America. I would want to know these things. It was one family who had a grandma that was nice to me and that would talk to me. But my peers, they wouldn't talk to me about their country life. They felt like it was not something. To the point of Pan-Africanism doing things, I personally have never seen Pan-Africanism done anything. But that's my personal opinion. I don't see them forming anything. I see them chit-chatting in a lot. I see them collecting funds, but I don't see them really producing items for community. I'm always for that. If we want to get the next generation better, we have to educate them, because as long as people go into these European systems, they will disown anything that their parents have taught them, anything that their parents has fought for, anything, because the European system teaches them how to get a job, and your thought processes of being Black doesn't teach them anything and doesn't give them any reward. And everyone is fighting for that almighty dollar. My last point is, Sister Keisha, you did a beautiful rendition of what our elders taught and how they saw their viewpoints at a particular time. But I'd also like to bring to attention that even Booker T. Washington is a walking contradiction, because he fought for the African exclusion measure. In the 1913, 1914, he went and fought with Congress to make sure that people like myself, like my family, can come into this country, that you cannot exclude these people. The same way that they did in the 1880s, or or 90s, they did the Chinese exclusion measure, and those people fought for that. And he fought for the African exclusion measure to not allow Caribbean folks and African folks for coming into America. Is that a problem? Probably so, because people aren't educated about what's happening boots on the ground, and they're being educated by the larger society. They do denounce, and I can say that largely because I understand people do denounce people here because they're not taught about you all here, unless you're a person like me who wants to do the research, who was fortunate to sit at the foot of Alton while Alton taught certain things. And then, oh, I gotta understand this. I gotta read this. I gotta look this up. I gotta reread your notes. When Alton sent those newsletters, I read those as well. So that's all I want to say. And I also want to congratulate my young brothers and sisters for doing the good work. And call me if you need $1, because I could give up $1. I might not be able to travel, but I could definitely give up $1. So be blessed, community, and continue to grow and prosper, because this is the only thing we can do. We can only get it right from this moment forward. So that's it.
Thank you for your commentary. As we move to Brother Tad, before we
You
go to
can send those emails too.
That's what I was about to say. The highlighted comments, there's pins in the chat. Click the link. You can send the emails to all New York State legislators at the same time. You can also read their whack-ass bill along with our sign bill, because the U.S. Freedmen's Project is 100% transparent and want you to see exactly what's going on. You know, one of the things that Alton would always say too is that we need lobbyists, and the U.S. Freedmen's Project is our lobbyist on the ground. And so the support is definitely appreciated. Let me play this clip, because this is not a new argument.
No, it's not.
It's not a new argument. We went to the 17 and 1800s with some of the readings. And like I said, I didn't tell Sister Pat what my notes were.
You did.
Not one bit. But he had the exact same thing I had.
I believe it.
So it's available for you.
Oh.
If you want to look even further. But I will say this. Let me play this clip, and then I'm gonna let my brother Tad rock out, and we can get it going after that. Hold on.
We turn now to 4 other people with different views. Kwame Ture is an organizer with the All African People's Revolutionary Party, a group attempting to politically unite African people living in 113 countries all over the world. It was his call for Black Power in 1966, when he was known as Stokely Carmichael, that catapulted the term Black into popular usage. Leon Winter is a copy editor for the Wall Street Journal, and last week wrote an article that appeared on the journal's op-ed page called "This African American Still Feels Black." J. Bruce Llewellyn is a businessman who owns the 8th largest Coca-Cola bottling company in the country. He also owns television station WKBW, an ABC affiliate in Buffalo. Ramona Edlin is president of the National Urban Coalition. She proposed the name change at the Chicago meeting of Black leaders last December. And to you, Ms. Edlin, the current initiative is largely your brainchild. Why is it important to use that term and not Black?
Charlene, we have an opportunity to renew values such as mastery and learning, the importance of the family, unity, which is of the utmost importance right now, at a time when our children couldn't be in more distress and turmoil, when we face a new century. And it's up to us to be sure that the problem of the 21st century is not also the problem of the color line, as Du Bois prophesied in 1903 this century would be.
But how does African American affect all of that?
Well, we see, going back to African cultural ties, to the land base that is our mother, as crucial in this process. And what I'm hoping is that we can recreate some of the spirit of the movement years, particularly for the children, by going back to values which were stripped systematically from us, as we all know, when we were enslaved for 250 years in this nation.
Mr. Winter, you don't want to change from Black.
No, well, I don't disagree that it is important for us to be cognizant of where we come from and the depth of our history that began before slavery. I just don't see the particular need in calling for renewal of the movement to leapfrog over the 400 odd years of history and of proud accomplishments that we can point to, and indeed need to reacquaint our children with here in this country first. So I believe that it is important to teach the children and to in general, imbue Black America with the knowledge of where it comes from, but to focus this effort on claiming what is ours here as Americans, which is the country that we are citizens of and where we pay our taxes.
Mr. Llewellyn, you prefer the term American.
Well, I guess in all my years on this earth, I've been called about 5 or 6 different things. I've been called Black. I've been called Afro-American. Now we're talking about African-American. I've been called Negro. I've been called colored. And what strikes me as a continuous theme or theorem in all of this is the fact that we never have been called full citizens of the United States of America. And what I'd like to see accomplished once and for all is that we are considered as full citizens and have all the rights and privileges there too. All I see is that people in Russia, people in Poland, people in Nicaragua are all packing their bags and heading for the United States of America, feeling it's some kind of panacea or a great place to be. And there must be something here that brings all these people. All I'm saying to you is that I think it's a disgrace that we have been here for well over 200 years and we have not enjoyed these full benefits that a lot of people have come here generation after generation and gotten. And I think that's the key. That's where we ought to go. I'll be very honest with you. If I had my druthers, I wouldn't be worrying so much about whether you call me African-American or not. I would like very much to see throughout this country, as other groups have put in museums called Holocaust, to see slavery museums which would show our suffering, our contribution over the years up until the year 1989 as to what we have done to give something to America. I think to try and leapfrog back and take youngsters in 1989 and tell them about our agrarian background in Africa is almost impossible at this point in time. The other problem with this is I listened to one gentleman on the thing say, well, during the campaign, we talked about Michael Dukakis as being a Greek American. Well, Greek American pinpoints a country called Greece. African American does not pinpoint any country. It is a continent. And therefore, either you're going to play a game called European American or African American, or otherwise, again, we still haven't been able to refine ourselves down to where we come from, whether we come from Nigeria or Kenya.
All right, well, let me just go to Mr. Toure here. In the 1960s, as I said before, you were one of the ardent proponents of using the term Black. How do you feel now about abandoning it in favor of African American?
Well, I do not even use the term African American. I use the term Africans because that's what we are. We're Africans in America. There's nothing American about us. Our history has only been a history of struggle in America. We are the only ethnic group in America who have to shed our blood to make reform. To get the vote, we must shed our blood. To get our children to school, we must shed our blood. To get on a bus and sit where we want, we must shed our blood. To even get in a filthy 5 and 10 cent store, we must shed our blood. So I don't see how we could be American. We're Africans in America struggling against American capitalism. And only until it's destroyed will we enjoy the rights that everyone else is speaking of.
Well, how do you respond to that, Mr. Llewellyn?
Well, what he's trying to do is to change the name of the game or change the rules. And I haven't got time to change the rules. I've got to look at what is. I guess I'm more practical about this. Maybe the ideal panacea is to change the rules and make it all a kind of a equal socialistic state. But in the meantime, let's talk about what is. This is a capitalistic society. We are here. We are paying our taxes. We are doing work each and every day. And I think we have the right to participate. We have sent people to war since the revolutionary times and spilled our blood for America, from Crispus Attucks and the Revolutionary War all the way down through this Vietnam. So therefore, I want to get what you can construe as my piece of the action like everybody else has gotten. And it really annoys me to see people who haven't made this kind of contribution over the years come here and feel that they can claim it and get it. And we have done that.
You have a response to that?
Of course. In the first place, just because we're in capitalist just because we're in the capitalist system doesn't mean we must love it. We were made slaves. It doesn't mean that while you're a slave, you must love slavery. A conscious slave, while picking cotton on the plantation, is thinking about how to escape, how to bring freedom. Therefore, just because we're in capitalism doesn't mean we must enjoy it. We have to fight for an equal society. That's our history. Our people show that we spill blood instinctively to advance humanity. And we have this responsibility to advance America, yes, to a socialist state.
You would seem to imply from your comment that capitalism is utterly inconsistent with Africa and Africans.
It is.
But I would posit that that's not true. If you look again at the nations of Africa, if you look at African people in every country of the world, especially in recent times, they essentially want things. They want products. They want the things that it's, at least up to this point, demonstrated that only capitalism, with its imperfections and with its inequities, which hopefully some people believe can still be tamed, people want things. And I don't somehow see a worldwide Pan-Africanism as also spun the death knell for capitalism at the same time. It's inconsistent. There are too many people who want cars in Lagos, Nigeria. Last time I checked, the traffic jams are horrendous.
I don't think we can solve that one right now, but let me just go back to Ramona Edlin, because both Mr. Winter and Mr. Llewellyn talked about how they don't think it's possible to leapfrog over a lot of history and go back. It's impossible to go back to the agrarian life, that you can't even pinpoint a place in Africa where Black people come from, if I'm paraphrasing your comments correctly. How do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, our culture and heritage in Africa entail far more than agrarian economies. Mathematics and science were born in Africa, philosophy and religion. And as well as that, we've been accomplished musicians and dancers for centuries. There's so much in our cultural heritage that we need to recoup right now, particularly for the children. And it is possible to leapfrog, as they put it. As a matter of fact, it's not only possible, it's necessary. Because if you begin with slavery, then you will still have children looking in your eyes as they do in mine, in our cities and in the streets, and saying, what difference does it really make to you, to me, or to anyone else, whether I live or die, whether I take drugs, whether I kill another person, whether I learn anything in school? We have a responsibility. And I think that one way we can have a cultural renaissance is to identify with the land base that gave us the wonderful things about our nature and our culture.
Mr. Llewellyn?
Well, that all sounds very nice and wonderful, but I invite you to take a look at Africa right now and today and look at the situation in Eritrea against Ethiopia and all the other things that have happened, Biafra with the Nigerians and what have you. That, in my opinion, is idealistic and not the gut of the problem. The gut of the problem is something called values. The gut of the problem is something called family. The gut of the problem is something called importance. What do we construe and believe to be
I would
important?
submit that without a cultural offensive, without our unifying at this particular time and saying what we believe in and who we are and how we will train our children and what our families mean to us, that we will continue to have those same gut issues. That's precisely the point. We will continue unless we develop a cultural vehicle which will move us forward. All groups move forward by strength of their culture. It is a myth that individuals move forward. And certainly we cannot accept 2 or 3 of our group emerging year after year while the vast masses of us continue to go down. We have a responsibility.
Let me raise a point back to you, Kwame Ture. When you launched this move that resulted in Black being adopted as the defining symbol for African-American people, many people felt that it helped to purge them of all the negative feelings about themselves, that it really represented the first major psychological break. And you heard the woman in the tape talk about Black is beautiful. I mean, that was the most positive affirmation of Blackness by Black people. What do you say to people now who say you simply cannot abandon the term that came to symbolize so much for Black people?
Human progress does not stand still. It moves. We came here as Africans. One of the first organizations we had fighting for us is known as the Free African Society. The very first independent organization we had in this country was the church. It was known as the African Methodist Episcopalian Church. So from Africans, our oppressor has changed us to colored, to Negro, to this, to that. We understand it's a step. Coming to Black had a powerful point, because the point was that we were oppressed because of this color of our skin, and this was racism. But this fight is not just a fight over the color of the skin. A fight for power is a fight for land. When Mr. Llewellyn speaks about power, he's talking about land. Our land is Africa. America is not our land. It belongs to the American Indians, and we have a right to stand and take a moral struggle with them. And we don't worry about people being for things. People want things is incorrect. The point is not to explain the world. The point is to change it. If the people want material things, then we have a responsibility to tell them that things more important than material things, like freedom.
Mr. Winter?
Well, I can't claim to have been there, indeed, when Black was coined, because I was somewhere in high school and I was on the listening end as, indeed, you were doing the talking. But it's always been my feeling that Black was more than the recognition of where our blood comes from. It has a lot to do with the experience of people of color in a larger sense under colonialism, whether it was external colonialism, let's say in the Caribbean, or the internal colonialism that we had to deal with here in the United States, rather than simply a statement of Africa. Because the fact is, we have become more than simply descendants of Africa. We have created a lot of what America is in our own image. When you talk about this cultural-based offensive, I would rather see us claim American culture, which is not European culture. America does not mean white. American doesn't mean white. It means a combination of European and African and Asian and the rest of the cultures of the whole world. This is what America is. And if it denies the fact of what is African within it, then it's up to us to continue to assert that no, America does not mean white. America means a melting and a combination of things.
I think that's the point. We are saying African and American, and not everyone is willing to say American, and not everyone is willing to say African. But the point is, we are trying to merge the two, and American society at this point in time does exclude the African reality. America is an African as well as a European invention. We know that, but it isn't accepted widely as now.
Let me ask you this, Ms. Evelyn. What is wrong? Hakeem Madabuti said a few moments ago that in his writing and everything, he's going to use both. I mean, is there a problem with using African-American for those who choose to, and for those who choose to use Black, to use Black?
No, I think we all will use both to a certain extent. First of all, it's going to be hard to break old habits that were very dear to us, and I certainly was along with Stokely in the days when the name was changed. But it is important to continue to draw the consciousness of our people to a set of values which were positive and productive for us. To call our mother's name is Africa. We are children without her if we leave that out, and I think that it's fair to say no one of us is satisfied with the status quo today.
Well, it seems that Time Magazine, in fact, has a piece on this week, and it says that for more than a century, descendants of freedmen have debated what name they should bear as a people, and in every instance, the shift in the change of appellation coincided with a new phase in the struggle for equality. Is that what's going on now, in your view, and what stage is this?
Yes, and I think this is a point of evolution in our culture, and it's the stage right before we cross the threshold to the 21st century. I think we are saying that there's a quickening of our will. We will not cross the threshold of the 21st century in the condition that we are today.
All right, let me ask Mr. Winter, what do you think about that?
I don't necessarily see this as a quickening, if you will, in that kind of direction. It seems to me that a move like this is an attempt more at a rhetorical assertion to sort of put a new name on things. But I don't see where it quite takes us to getting a better handle on what is immediately in front of us.
Maybe I should say, Charlene, that the cultural offensive is going to entail agenda setting, goal setting, working together to achieve our purposes. As you well know, Charlene, in the movement years, when you decided to desegregate the University of Georgia along with Ham, we were unified around your decision. We were purposeful. We were powerful. There was a sense of destiny, and we achieved our goals. What we are so sadly lacking now is any sense of purpose or destiny. We are not setting agendas. We are not working together, though we're working very hard.
But is that because we don't have the right name?
Well, the name change is the first step in what we hope will be a self-conscious examination of our culture, going back to our ancient as well as our contemporary strengths, and pulling together a vehicle which will be more useful to us than the one that we are now engaged in. If anyone is satisfied with the status quo, I'm not aware of it, particularly our children.
Mr. Llewellyn, just very briefly, do you see this as a critical stage in the evolution of?
I swear, I do not know why people keep talking about what the container is called. It's what's the content of the container. This won't get us into the 21st century unless our kids can read, write, compute, and be able to compete in this country to make a living and to make progress. If that doesn't take place, we can put African American on them, we can put Negro on them, we can put anything you want to put on them, but they're not going to play the game in the 21st century because the field is getting tougher and tougher, and this not a level field.
Wait, just a minute. Let me just we're about to run out of time. Mr. Teray, a final comment on that.
The error of the thinking here is that most people think that Africans in America came here just like other immigrant groups did. All other immigrants came to America expecting a better way of life. We started in hell, which was a slave ship, and we're still in hell. And this incorrect assumption makes it appear as if we made a contribution with our culture. Our culture has been trampled upon, not the others. Any contribution we've made to America is the test of the strength of our culture in spite of this oppression. We are Africans, and that's exactly where we're going.
Is the term, in your view, is that where you end it? Is that where it stops?
The content was African. The label has been changed to confuse us. If we came as Africans, how do we end up as Americans? How do we end up
I would make a difference that my ancestors came here in a slave boat. They didn't. They came from the island of Jamaica, and they came on their own because they thought it was a better place to be.
They came as slaves to Jamaica. I was born in Trinidad. That's where the slaves took Georgia. We're all slaves. We're all slaves.
We can't solve this one.
Jamaica. Who did you decide to drop in Jamaica? The white man dropped you in Jamaica and brought you to Mississippi. So you don't define yourself by the enemy?
No, I define myself as the fighting places where I'm at, not where I used to be or where I thought I was.
So if you fight on slaves, we fought on the slave ships. We fought on the slave ships. Did you call yourself a water?
And you're still fighting in 1989, right here in New York City.
Until Africa is free, we won't be free.
All right, one final practical note. Mr. Winter, you're the only editor here.
Mm-hmm.
How should the media deal with this? As you can see, there's a debate over the issue. What about newspapers, television, books, magazines? I mean, should they continue to use? Haki said he was going to continue to use both. I mean, what kind of guidance do you think should apply there?
Well, speaking immediately for newspapers, and again, while I don't represent directly the Wall Street Journal here, I can tell you that they have discussed this issue recently and concluded that they will wait and watch to take the general standard of what comes to be common usage among Black people in general, as at least we'll call it now, and moreover among academics, political and social leaders and that sort of thing. And if a consensus appears to emerge, then style changes will probably be forthcoming at our paper. And I believe in fact the New York Times has said similar things, which is about all they can do, because to them, it's, well, there's something going on there in the community and we don't really know what to make of it. All they want to know is that they really don't want to offend anyone in the end. If it becomes apparent that everybody wants this, then they'll likely go along.
For more on the story.
Sis, I'm gonna try to make this quick as possible. There's a lot I want to say, and I appreciate that clip.
Mm-hmm.
Left Pan-Africanism, 2019. Right? It's funny that they would mention Hakeem Madhubuti, his book, Enemies, Clash of the Races. Forced me to go back into the studies, just as a refresher. Read that about 10 years ago. Of course, David Walker's Appeal, an address from Henry Highland Garnett. Get these books, read them, brush up. We're still having these arguments, right? And one of the reasons I left Pan-Africanism, because it wasn't proactive, very reactionary, always responding. See, when you're responding to something, you're already operating from a deficit. Whoever you're responding to is in control of the pace and the direction of the conflict. But when you divorce yourself from that, they can't guide you and fool you no more. When you're being proactive and building your stuff, you now control the direction and the tempo and the speed of whatever it is you're building. Just as FBA. We're not concerning ourselves with other people. We keep telling people, leave us alone. We read all the books, we studied all the history, we heard all of this. This was done in 1989. What has been organized and done to prevent the influx of gang activity in our communities? I remember in 1989, there was, I think it was Geraldo Rivera did a documentary. He did an expose, if you will, about the Crips and Bloods. I don't know if you remember, Sister Keisha said it was going to come to New York. We laughed. We said, we don't do that in New York, fighting over colors, red and blue. But Let's fast forward to 2025. Christian Bloods is here. We're talking about in the tail and at the height of the crack epidemic in our community. There were small pockets of people fighting, to shut crack houses down. Salute to them. But it wasn't enough effort. Why? Because the movement was spreading itself thin, as opposed to taking care of what's going on in Bed-Stuy. You trying to fight in Zimbabwe. Let's go back a few years. What was it? 2015, 2017? Bring back our girls in Nigeria. How many people went over there? Who has the credentials and authority to be an investigator to find out where those girls were? See, we keep diverting our attention in other places that we have minimal control over. But not putting those efforts in those things we can control right here, right in our backyard. We keep talking crazy about America. Meanwhile, everybody keep coming, and now we have the ability to leave, and nobody's packing their things, getting out of here. So it's all a contradiction. The whole theology, the whole ideology. I was there. I went to Africa 4 times, invited people to come. Negroes ain't come. Made me wonder, how serious are they? We saw flaws in leadership. We saw leadership with bad character. Nobody wanted to check them. Couldn't even speak against it. I even seen a Pan-African influencer tell everybody he do coke and it's okay. And nobody ostracized him. I'm like, wow, this is what we doing? And then you get the prince lusting over Sukiana, the Prince of Pan-African, lusting over Sukiana, not taking care of his children, being disrespectful to women left and right if they don't agree with him, but he's not called to the carpet. Just to still supporting them, running out to see him, giving up their money for that imaginary school. Handful of dudes approached them, but not enough, not en masse. And I sat back as a dude from Fulton Street, dude from Brooklyn, knowing, because that's the macro, right? On a microcosm, if you're doing that behavior on my block, if you're stealing from people, if you're being disrespectful, you're not taking care of your children, we got a problem with you. Why it's not global? Why are we trying to take care of people on the other side of the planet who don't even really look at us as brothers and sisters? See, and I'm gonna wrap this up because what I've learned, what I've noticed, and this is my observation, a lot of this Pan-African ideology is coming from old people from a long time ago when they were conditioned that they had no history, that so much was stolen and stripped from them. So they're just grasping for straws. Any identity you give them, they grab onto. But we're in the information age. We know that the slave trade only brought about 4% of the kidnapped Africans to the United States, which comes up to about 400,000, not even 500,000 people. And then with the studies of our Pan-African scholars, like Lerone Bonet and Dr. Clark and Dr. David Imhotep and Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, all said that Black people was already here prior to Europeans.
Yep.
But then we laughed at when we said, yo, my grandmother told me she been here. How she know? Because her grandmother. Now, do you know your grandmother to be a liar? I don't know mine to be a liar. And I doubt her grandmother lied to her about who her grandmother was. And here we got records and receipts, and people want to argue and fight with us over what we can prove. But meanwhile, you want to hold on to some ancestors you don't even know, and you might be praising the ones who sold your ancestors to get over here. You don't know. But your research stopped with somebody you don't know because Dr. Such and Such. I'm not impressed with doctor titles. That don't impress me. Real intelligence is common sense. Not what you read in the book. There's tons of idiots. Look at the presidents we've had. Leaders of the free world. And we supposed to be impressed by credentials? I think not. So I'm just saying, get back into your right state of mind. Keep doing your research, because as Sister Keisha laid out, like it's forcing me to go back to read books that I've read over 10 years ago, because we're constantly fighting. But what people are afraid of with this FBA thing is now you're going to be charged to do something against. See, Pan-African, all you got to do is put some tweets and quotes and you in there. Just change your name to something Imhotep or whatever you want to change your name to. Give yourself an African name and you legit, you in there. Sister Keisha, the first time I spoke at the UAM, I asked a rhetorical question. Who am I? What qualifies me to sit up here and speak to y'all? And I'm glad you knew, and Queen Mother Leola, she knew, God bless her soul, but for the most part, anybody with a big voice could walk in this movement because there's no vetting process. That's why Umar could take the bag and run. What's that other dude with the Black Wall Street? Jay Morrison could take the bag and run. That's why Sucker Polite could get let loose in the hen house because he came in with polygamy and multiple wives and then start touching the children. See, I know pimps and hoes when I see them. I'm from Fulton Street. I wasn't raised in Pan-Africanism. So I know how the underworld operates. So I see a crook and a thief and a nickel slick sucker when I see them. But where was the vetting process? And now that we're divorcing ourselves from that, saying we get into the serious business of our families, because that's what FBA is. We literally honoring our ancestors. And we're not dealing with this no more. We're not dealing with nobody's foolishness. And they're upset because they want to belong to something so bad. Everybody want to be recruited so bad. I belong to my family. I tell children that. Maslow hierarchy of needs. Everybody got the need to belong. But this is the crisis with our young people. Do you want to belong to your family or do you want to belong to your gang? And that's what the divide is. But guess what? These same teenagers get older and become adults. Do you want to belong to your family? Do you want to belong to the organization? And then they start fanning out over Dr. Such and such. They're not followers. They're not students of these teachers. They're fans. All of them are fans because nobody can do wrong. Dr. Such and such can't do wrong. You can vilify, you can talk negative about Black women, you can condemn Black people all you want, but you have nothing in place to lift Black people up. You're living in a pastime paradise, as Stevie Wonder said in the song. And with that, I'm stepping off my soapbox. Ain't mean to be so long-winded. It just tired.
It is what it is. You are the co-host, so it is what it is. As we get ready to close out, definitely gonna have a part 2 of this because I want to show, and I'm going to next week. Y'all know I keep hella receipts, so I'm going to show manumitted Black Americans who were enslaved in Brooklyn and what they identified themselves as. You see, I'm going to show you, and I got it from the library archives here in New York, but I'm going to show you because I'm tired of shenanigans. As we listen to that commentary that happened in, I think it was 89, that clip, and we listened to some of the people on the panel who weren't or who didn't have a lineage from here. One being Kwame Ture, who came from Trinidad. Was he a champion at one particular time? Yes. But he negated the fact that he came under Ella Baker, an FBA woman.
Yes, he did.
Under Snit.
He did.
So let's just be clear. When President Devine and the U.S. Freedmen's Project reached out to all groups in the state of New York, Caribbean and African, and Baba Louie Latino, no response. Just asking for a letter of support. No response. And so, if Pan-Africanism is real, where are they? Sister Pat said you saw one or two around, but where were these organizations at? They were far from us and wouldn't touch us with a 10-foot pole. However, all of those groups and all of those from that lineage benefit from the fight that our ancestors laid down. And that's not hearsay, that is a fact. And on Thorough Black Talk, we always prove what we're saying. You can go back a couple of months ago here, we discussed that very same thing and came with hella receipts. So when you come up on the Brooklyn Bridge, you got to be thorough. And so I want to thank Sister Pat for rocking out with us, coming up on the Brooklyn Bridge, giving us that 1-2 in that BK thorough history. I am thankful. And we'll chop it up. Give me a call tomorrow. I'll be home tomorrow because I gotta get some repairs done. So I'll be home tomorrow. So you can give me a call. And so, I thank her. Always Sister Brooke and Brother Devon to come in and give us the 1-2 about what's really happening. Why delineation and disaggregation is important. As I read what some of our ancestors said, too long have others spoken for us. We wish to plead our own cause. We don't tell Jamaicans how to be Jamaican. We don't tell Trinidadians how to be Trinidadian. But everybody got an input about how we identify and how we move. Earlier, a couple of months ago, actually, Brother Devon, Sister Brooke, Brother Tad, and myself, we pulled up on a Pan-African hosted space. And out the gate, they tried to say we were ops. Out the gate, before we even said a word, there were no FBA on the panel, but their whole premise was based on us. Some of them, after we told them what was happening at these reparations hearings, said, oh yeah, we'll be there to support y'all. Before Utica, the hearing was in Brooklyn. Not one of you bastards showed up. So I'm just calling you out for the BS that you are. It's just a fact. When we say that people from the diaspora come in here, interject themselves into our government, or the government of the United States, I should say, and advocate and pass legislation that is harmful to us, but beneficial to their group. If we are all black, why do you need a Caribbean caucus? Why do you need an Asian caucus? Why do you need an African caucus? Why do you need a Latino caucus? Because you're double dipping and you're with the foolery. And we see you for what it is. We don't interject ourselves into the government of which your people come from. We stand and mind our business. And in most cases, or some cases, I should say, we have helped a great many of you.
That's true.
From this nation, you too owe a debt. And we come to collect. So, with that, I say y'all a good night. We'll see you black again up on the Brooklyn Bridge. We out, baby. Good night.
Good night.
On the Brooklyn Bridge tonight, voices strong, knowledge tight, thorough black talk in the air, changing minds, changing flair. From Brother Tad to Sister K, warriors got things to say. Sister Marcy brings the heat, Brother Blacksmith keeps the beat. Revolutionary waves, they fly underneath the open sky. Every word's a call to fight. Tune in, feel the ancestral light. Thursday nights the world will see Black Power Media on a spree. Facebook, YouTube all aligned, breaking free from every bind. Social talk and politics, every voice breaks through the matrix. Commentary raw and true, for the many, not the few. Revolutionary waves, they fly underneath the open sky. Social talk and politics. Every voice breaks through the matrix. Commentary raw and true. For the many, not the few. Revolutionary ways.